What's up, everybody? You're listening to Nintendo Dads, episode 514. It is February 6th, 2025. And on this week's show, we talk about Nintendo's latest numbers. We talk about upcoming hardware patents that may have leaked tonight. Certain little animals running around with the Nintendo Switch 2 that we may have heard of before. And we have a chat with our incredible guest, Phil Summers of Hand Drawn Game Guides, who is about to finish a landmark Kickstarter for Mega Man, the Hand Drawn Guide. Jesse, you know what to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what is going on? My name is Justin Masson, and I today am your host of this dumpster fire known as the Nintendo Dads. We are excited that you're here joining us for episode 514. And as Marty alluded to, we have got some amazing topics tonight. Of course, I'm joined by some of the coolest guys on the internet. Pressing the buttons and making us sound good, I'll head over to Mr. Jesse Waldak. Jesse, how are you today, buddy?
Doing pretty good. It's been one of those weeks at work, so I'm glad it's almost over. But to try to help with my physical and mental health, I decided to join a gym. So I've only had one day there so far. I've got an appointment next week to kind of get they take measurements of me. They recommend what I should be doing to maximize my loss and things like that. So
kind of like an assessment almost?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's at one of the newer gyms in the area. So my wife's got a membership at a gym where I can guest if I want to go with her. I decided to go with a different gym where she can guest in, so we can choose if we want to go to my gym or her gym. Either way, we can guest the other one in, and everyone can have some gym time.
Oh, yes. So, the Gaim. The sweet Gaim.
So we'll see how that works out.
Nice. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see like a buff and swollen like Jesse getting yoked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Yeah, I've been taking part of the Mega Dads weight loss challenge.
Nice.
For like the last month, I think I'm down 18 pounds.
Wow! Congratulations. That's awesome.
So we're trying to keep that going.
Nice, yeah. We don't endorse the Mega Dads here, but I appreciate you participating. Speaking of a person that I do endorse, feeling a little bit better than last week. Sounds like the case of the Metroids, he's finally over. Mr. Marty Estes. Buddy, how are you today? It looks like
frozen.
Marty has frozen. Awesome. That is not helping us out. Well, Marty's getting himself resolved. I'm going to head over to Phillip Summers. Phillip, how are you?
Hello, doing very good tonight.
Excellent.
Jesse, that's great, by the way, about the weight loss and the gym. Love that stuff. It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Phillip, do you do any? Are you like do you go to the gym? Do you get into exercise? Are you into fitness at all?
I am. I don't go to the gym. I have a makeshift gym next to me on the other side of this room. And that's where I work out every other day. So
nice.
Yeah,
excellent. That's fantastic. And Phil, before we kind of jump into the show, I'd love for just kind of let people share with us who you are, why you're here, and what's kind of going on in your world. Obviously, you've been a guest on Nintendo Dads before, but love to give some space. We're going to talk a little bit more about your big project, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Oh man, for myself, I hate talking about myself. No. So yeah, my name's Phil Summers. I have been doing this thing called Hand Drawn Game Guides for quite a few years now, and there was a year period where I ran this thing called Hand Drawn Gaming, which was like a bi-monthly, very small 8-page newsletter, front to back. That burned me out, so that only lasted a year. And then the year before that, or last year, I worked on a little book called 2020X, and now I'm working on this Mega Man book, which I'm sure we'll get into. But other than that, I'm a dad, so I deserve to be on the show.
100%. Paid your dues. Paid your dues.
Yeah. Two teenage girls, twins.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been a graphic designer for, oh my God, 20 years now, probably, I think. it's been a while, and so that's my quick little bio for you. Married
That's
for
awesome.
almost 20 years. So
Congratulations.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
How old are your kids, Phil?
They are 14.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a fun age, hey?
Yeah. Yeah. They're in
Yeah,
high school, freshmen.
yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
I got a
weird.
14 and a 16-year-old, two daughters as well. And yeah, you can kind of see that like now there's this different like progression of like attitude,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And you're starting
Oh
to see a little
yeah.
bit more of like, yeah. I get a lot more like, no, I don't think I'm going to do that today. And you're like,
Oh yeah.
no, you still are. You're still under my roof, so you still are.
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, for
Well,
anyone that
when they get in there to their 20s, I'll come back around.
right, yeah, yeah. And also for anyone who's like not watching our live stream, which is fine, or watching the VOD, Phil, I need to like comment. You have got an amazing like collection of stuff behind
Oh,
you.
thank you. The game
Uh,
room.
yeah, that's a
Yeah,
sweet game. That's a super scope I see up on the wall
it
on the
is.
on
Yep.
my left, your right, I guess.
Yep. Yep. Super
Wow.
scope. That's above it is a bunch of boxed my box nest collection.
Okay.
Um and then yeah, just a whole variety. I got like, a bunch of CRTs right
Love it.
there. A Sega Blast City, like directly behind me, bunch of Ninja Turtle stuff. Uh
Sweet.
Little case has like a Virtual Boy in there and
Oh man.
Power Glove and all that stuff. So whole bunch of
That's
goodies and knickknacks.
awesome. And then to the
Yeah.
right looks like a big shelf of just shelf of games.
Yeah, I'm afraid to spin my camera because
No,
I
you're
have it
grand.
taped up here, but I have a Contra arcade and yeah, a bunch of games and all that.
Wow.
My camera's probably gonna fall now. It's like it literally is taped. There's like duct tape holding it together.
That is awesome. That is I'm gonna be honest. I think that might be one of the best game rooms that we've
Yeah.
seen through the webcam before. Brian
Oh,
Shea
cool.
from All Things Nintendo's got a pretty good one as well. But that is, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest with you, you might be winning this award, Phil.
Oh, awesome. I'll take it.
Nice. Speaking of awards coming back to us live, hopefully feeling better. Marty, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I don't have the flu anymore.
Yeah, bad case
Even
of the Metroids.
golly. So yeah, I don't know. Like I'm missing a week of my life. Last week is just gone. I woke up Monday and I felt the literally the sickest I've ever been in my entire life.
Wow.
I like to the point, like my doctor and we're actually friends. Not just like patient and doctor, like he and I have lunch together about once a week and just a great guy. And I texted him that morning, Monday morning. I was like, can you come to my house?
Can you make a
Because
house call?
I need medicine and I don't. And he called me immediately. He's like, what's going on? And I was like, both me and my wife were like this. It was like, I don't think I can get out of the chair
Wow.
to get to the office. Like I felt that bad. So he gave us some antibiotics and stuff. And it wasn't until about midweek, my kids came down with it. So the whole family had it and they
Oh,
actually tested positive for flu A. So that we feel pretty confident that's what we had. And still to like that was last week. This week I've just coughed all week. Like it's just been just this lingering respiratory grossness, which you can probably hear in my voice too. Like today has been the first day that I've not like coughed all day long, which is a
Wow.
blessing.
Oof.
So I'm great. I did not like you would think, oh man, you get a whole like week off work. You got to play so many video games. I didn't feel like playing anything
Yeah.
until like Friday of last week, which is highly unusual.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew I was super sick. But I did make a purchase that I'll talk
Hmm.
about later on in the show.
Okay.
Some people have already seen it, but I will talk about it when we get to our timeout.
Okay. I love
Yeah,
it.
I'm feeling a lot
Awesome.
better. Glad to be here. Glad the show's back up this week. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we're gonna jump to a couple things I will say beforehand. Unfortunately, Tim's off tonight. He's not feeling well as well, so we wish him best recovery. So again, it's a bad case. The Metroids went through the entire office, so we all got it. And for those of you that last week we actually just ran a repeat of episode 1 because we actually took the week off because we weren't several of us were not feeling well. Thank you for the positive response, by the way. The amount of people that have gone and listened to that episode and like message saying, This show is very different 10 years later. You all sound different 10 years later. It's pretty awesome. And so we shared that with you from the archive, and hopefully you enjoyed that. But hey, I digress. Let's jump into our news. And of course, our news is brought to us by, well, you, the fine folks over at patreon.com. And if you like the news and you'd like an ad-free version of this podcast, head over to patreon.com/NintendoDads, where you can sign up for as little as $1 a month. And huge thank you to all of our patrons for their continued support to allow us to create incredible content. We're super excited about 2025. Obviously, the Switch 2 is launching. We're excited about. We are going to PAX East, which we are excited about. Lots of great opportunities, lots of opportunities to connect with the community, amazing content. Thank you for your support to help keep our mics, our lights on, pay for a bit of healthcare for Marty because he's dying. No, that doesn't cover it at all because that's not enough money is what I would say. But hey, thank you for making our community a better place. Big thank you to our newest patron, Matt Gaines. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, let's jump into the news. This is actually sort of a very exciting news week. I find it exciting. Business Justin finds it exciting because Nintendo has come out with their latest financial data for Q3. Now, this is going to be October 1st to December 31st. And we have got some numbers to share with you. Interestingly enough, remember we talked about a while ago, everyone said, Justin, why didn't they announce the Switch 2 like in September and October when everybody was talking about this? And I said, that's a horrible idea because you don't want to announce a new console literally weeks before your biggest quarter for sales, which is the holiday season, right? Well, Nintendo actually moved 4.82 million units from October 1st to December 31st, making it their largest quarter for that financial year. That's a really, really important thing to be able to note as you move on to it. So where does
it's also been of all quarter threes, this is the lowest number.
Yeah, that's another thing. Listen, you're burying the lead here, Jesse. We're going to talk positive first and then we're going to come negative.
Sure, okay.
But you are right that this is their lowest quarter three earnings. Now, where does this put Nintendo Switch in relation to sales, lifetime sales, right? We want to slowly be getting to number one. This puts Nintendo Switch's lifetime sales at 150.86 million units sold. They are merely 3.16 million units away from the Nintendo DS and 9.14 from the PlayStation 2. Although I suspect as we get up to like 156, Sony will somehow find magically 5 or 6 more million.
Yeah, that's already happened.
Yeah, they kind of keep just like opening up this vault of like, oh, shake out the carpet. I think there's 7 million more under here.
Yeah, because
right? I think they're going to keep moving that pipeline down.
Ever since we started tracking the numbers, we've been using 155 million. But after when they had their 30th anniversary celebration, they said 160. So that's the number we got to go with.
Yeah, I kind of really hope that Nintendo, when they move the Switch 2, is like, it's the Switch family of systems. We're just going to keep it rolling, suckers.
I can see them doing that. I really...
I highly doubt that they will.
They will.
I think they'll reset the numbers. It's a new generation.
Yeah. Now, a couple of things I will comment on this. And so, Jess, I'll actually go to you because, as you said, this is actually Nintendo's lowest Q3 units sold since the Switch launches. Any thoughts around that?
I'm not surprised. Yeah, it's even my wife asked me the other day when I said, Nintendo put out their numbers. She goes, aren't the sales just tanking because everyone who wanted a Switch has already bought one? And I said, yes, indeed, that's exactly what happened. Yes. It has been their lowest sales year so far.
Yeah, still very strong, right? Like no one's going to be upset that they sold nearly 5 million units for a console that's almost 8 years old now.
Yeah, they started the fiscal year with a forecast of 13.5. Yep. Lowered it to 12.5 3 months ago, and then now have lowered it again to 11.
Yeah. So, and just for perspective here, year to date, they've sold 9.54 million, meaning that they're only projecting about 1.5 million in the next 60 days, obviously 90 being from January 1st to March 31st. Phillip, I want to throw to you and ask you, like, as you think of these numbers, these big unit numbers for the Nintendo Switch, anything that like comes out to you or any context you're thinking?
I think the secret, like most impressive thing about the figures is that this is all happening without like a price drop, like right? They've never had like a
Yep.
significant price drop, which is crazy to me. Like I kind of can't believe they never made. I know it's like an anti-Switch, but I don't know how they didn't just make like a box, like a console that they could sell for like 150 bucks, like $200. That it's just
I
for
was
the
kind of
TV.
hoping that that's what
Like I
the
don't know
Switch
how.
Pro would have
Yeah,
been.
like I have no idea how that didn't happen, and they've kept this price up. So I mean, in a way, it's pretty amazing when you look at. I'm sure the PS2 when it reached those figures was probably like $100.
Yeah.
Probably maybe that's my
Oh yeah,
guess,
yeah. They had a
right?
hundred.
Like
There was a $99 system for a while.
yeah, I think there was.
Yeah.
So
Phil, as you think that, and I love that statement because I think I've said before there are essentially two ways that you're moving units at this point in the game, right? Either you have to have a price cut. Or actually,
yeah,
I'll say three things. A price cut will do it. A exclusive version,
yeah,
right? So hey, here's the well, we saw the Switch Lite, right? Here's the Legend of Zelda Switch Lite version, or a large pack-in deal, right? Where you're getting, hey, it's Mario, and they did that this year, right? They did, hey, Mario Kart, and here is 12 months of Switch Online as opposed to 3 or something like that. Um, do you think, and a little bit of future casting here, we're coming into the Switch 2, obviously early April, we're going to get the announcement. Do you suspect we're going to get a price cut from Nintendo's OG line after Switch? And if so, what do you think that would cut to? And
yeah.
also, what do you think the Switch 2 is going to be priced at? I'm going to ask you that.
So I think they may not because I think the Switch 2 is going to be I don't know probably like 100 $200 more
Yeah,
is my thought. So
right.
then they won't have to. They'll just keep it where it is and then I don't know, sell through them and maybe they'll just never cut the price of this thing.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
which which is crazy, right? And I think it's a
Yeah.
very interesting statement. Like your statement
Yeah.
is like, hey, we'll just set the bar 150 $200 higher than what the base is, and so everything else below that really looks appetizing now. Right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's a steal of a deal, and you're
Yep.
like, we didn't do a price cut, we just changed the value proposition
Yep.
essentially.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you think we're still gonna, we joked obviously about the PlayStation 2 lifetime sales. Is Nintendo going to reach that? Do you think like do you think they got the juice in them to squeeze out another 9-10 million units in the next little bit to pass that? What are you thinking?
So how many did they do last year altogether?
So this year currently they have done 9.54. They're projected to be at 11. So another
I can find
1.5.
their sales from last year
I
if you
mean,
give
I
me a
think it
minute.
could. I mean, it could be possible. It's going to be more
Yeah.
than, and they're going to be selling it for more than just this year. They'll be selling it for another year. So at
Yeah.
least, right? So I think it's possible.
Yeah, for sure. Marty, how about yourself, sir?
So I think at this point, just looking at these numbers, that I don't think that they will surpass the numbers of the PS2 before the release of Switch 2.
No, yeah,
No,
no,
no, no,
no.
definitely not.
It's definitely gonna be after the fact. And I do like Philip's thinking that there's not gonna be a price cut. It's gonna be hey, we are here in the Switch family. We come in at 199, 299, and 399.
Mhm.
So,
Um,
and just for, and maybe for clarity
let me
there.
clarify that in that I don't think, or my opinion would be that the OG Mark II Switch or whatever it is with the LCD screen goes away
Okay.
and OLED drops to 299. That would
Okay.
be the
Okay.
only kind of price cut I think we would see, simply because 32 gigabytes of internal storage is has never been enough. It doesn't need to be continued
Yeah.
on unless they just have warehouses of these things. So you've got a 199
That Switch Lite.
non-dockable switch for switch lite with 32 gigabytes. Then you bump up, you've got the now you can dock, and you have the better handheld screen with 64 gigabytes of internal storage.
299.
That's the OLED, and now you've got the Switch 2. It's brand new. It's going to play all the new hotness games. It's going to
399.
have the Joy-Con mouse, all that stuff. It's 399. Um, I mean, think about this. They're less than 10 million units away from passing PlayStation. They will do that, but it's not going to happen this year. It may be like the tail end of the Switch that they can finally say, "Hey, it's the best selling system of all time." And now we have the follow up to that. It's out. It's been out for 6 months. It's going gangbusters. It's doing great. Um, but like you said earlier too, what's to stop them from just saying Switch family,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
the precedent's there. And Jesse, I agree with you. It is a new console generation, so I can see them rolling it back to zero. But uh, do they want to win? It's the
Yeah.
question is,
Well, I mean, that's a great question. Like, does it actually matter to Nintendo?
I don't think so.
Right?
It's like
it-
re-releasing Avatar after Adventures came out.
Yeah. Like it matters to us as pundits and as like, the like tribalism of like, let's go Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
Like that thing matters to us, but like ultimately in the end, Nintendo's going to be able to say, yeah, of the top 3 consoles, 2 and 3 are us.
so
Yeah,
if you look at this console generation, if you want to call it that this generation was Xbox Series X, PS5, Nintendo Switch. Um, sure, there's always been the monkey on Nintendo's back of not being as powered as the other
Yeah.
consoles and everything. But I will say this, when I say do they want to win, which console is coming out of this generation with the most positive press?
Mm-hmm.
It's Switch.
Oh yeah, without a
There's
doubt.
been so much negativity that has surrounded both Sony and Microsoft with
Mhm.
their boxes this generation, because you've got the whole Microsoft buying up everybody, creating a monopoly, the
Mhm.
dark cloud of sales hanging over there and exclusivity hanging over their whole business. And then you've got Sony, who had the other problem of they just can't get the darn things in people's hands. And then lately, look at all these games as a service games that have been canceled, uh, with nothing to kind of follow up on that.
Yeah.
So Nintendo has rode an ever rising wave through this generation. When the Switch first came out, initially thought this is going to do nothing.
Yeah.
And it's become the dark horse success story and mostly positive press for the entire generation. So if I'm Nintendo, and I am, I guess, I don't know. Um, if I'm Nintendo, I'm looking at that and going, we're coming out of this generation smelling like roses. We've got the third most popular console of all time and the second most popular best selling console of all time. Do I really need number one? No. Would it be great if we got there? Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a great
So
point.
I found the numbers. So fiscal year 2024, 15.7 million units were sold.
15?
Yeah.
Man.
So they're reducing it by 4 million
Yes.
overall. Okay. Wow.
And I don't have the source anymore, but I heard that between the top 3 systems, the Switch hit 150 million the fastest. Like it took
Interesting.
PlayStation like an extra 2 years to do it.
Mm.
Really?
I
PS2?
want to.
Yeah.
I want to say that
They
I
were like in their
remember.
10th. They were in their 10th year or so when they
Yeah.
hit.
So they were
like-
definitely selling PS3s for a few years while this was happening.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Because I remember the PS2 being.
They had a
like
long
you said
tail
earlier,
because of the
they had
DVD player.
$99.
Right.
$99 DVD player and game system. And they're not releasing like any new games. Maybe a one or two every, like a third party.
Yeah. I
Would
know
do
Just
that,
Dance
but they
came
were-
out forever.
Unless you're Madden.
That-
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah,
like
they
Just
were-
Dance like FIFA came out forever, I
Yeah.
think.
They
on there.
existed on their back catalog for a long time.
Well, the other
And they
thing
did not have the back catalog that
They-
Switch does.
they had, you know what gave it a little more life too, was the Wii, because there was a lot of Wii stuff that also came out on PS2. So they actually did have like a
Yeah.
fair amount of
Yeah.
new stuff.
And I
That's
do
true.
think like that's something that like I believe Switch will pass. Switch will get to the 160. We'll pass that. I don't necessarily know
It
that
might
will
take
be-
another 2 years.
Yeah, it may take another 2 to get there, but I think the tail will be there. And I think the reason for that being a couple things is that Nintendo has we'll be committed to continuing to support the original Switch. You have 150 million people installed. You can't just like cut and run. Sorry, we're over the Switch 2 now. See you guys. They are, and the president made a comment today about like, we're committed to like Pokemon and Metroid. Like those were games we announced for the Switch, not just Switch 2, Switch, right? And that tail is critical. You have a huge install base like that. You need to continue to feed it. And I know that like we as Nintendo pundits will be like, why is not everything on Switch 2? What's going on? But like they have a calendar that like they still have to fill. We don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Jesse, like we don't know what Nintendo's February game is yet, which is very odd for Nintendo not to have a February game.
No, we have the Donkey Kong this month, and we have Xenoblade in March.
Donkey Kong was January.
Well, I meant last month. Yeah.
February, there's a question mark. Could there be a direct that will reveal all of those things? Possibly, right? But then we have got our Xenoblade game in March. We don't know anything else in regards to the pipeline for 2025 that Nintendo has.
You still have Metroid Prime 4 lurking out there. You still have Pokemon Legends ZA. Which I think those will be the last two big games.
There's always a late gen Kirby. I could see a Kirby appearing.
Yeah, we've heard that like, where's the Twilight Princess remake? Where is the Wind Waker? Like we've heard a lot of those rumors sitting out there. Is that going to start padding the library a little bit? Because like they are not just turning off the Switch faucet and turning on Switch 2 faucet. This is a transition that will take several years, like 2027, 2028. We're shutting down the OG Switch eShop. Like that's how far this tail is, because you have an install base of 150. Because guess what? 150 people, even if they're not buying new hardware, they will continue to buy software, right? And that's critical for Nintendo to continue to get that income as they make that transitional period.
Man, it took them over 3 years to shut down or to discontinue the 3DS.
Yeah.
And then had an insane install base.
100%.
So you look at that, it's going to be the same way. The difference in this is that Nintendo smartened up and combined their dev teams.
Yeah.
Back then, they had the two dev teams that were working on 3DS and Switch or Wii U at the time. Now they've got all of that power dedicated toward. So I think you're right. You do have some dev teams right now who are working on games we don't know about for Switch. They may be smaller, like Kirby, the Grim Reaper coming in to finish off the Switch or whatever, but it may be something like Sushi Strikers, that just showed up out of nowhere and was Sushi Strikers like the last first party game for 3DS?
It's pretty close.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I remember all of us being like, why aren't these games on the Nintendo Switch? I want it on my new fancy console, right? And it was like the Switch had only been out for 6 months. Nintendo had no idea if they actually had a hit on their hands. So they were still like diversifying their portfolio and basically mitigating risk in case the Switch failed, right? Like Metroid, that Metroid game, the remaster, never came to the Switch. It sat on the 3DS.
Before we get them actually. It was WarioWare Gold.
Oh,
that was the last.
Thank you, the intranet.
The other thing to consider as well is, I wonder how many games will be like enhanced on Switch. Like Metroid, like there's no way that Metroid's just going to be a Switch game, right? Like I feel like you pop that into your Switch 2 and something's going to be better about it, better frame rate or whatever, So I feel like maybe they'll have a lot of that stuff where in the beginning there's a lot of crossover games where if you put this on Switch 2, it'll be a little better, improved. I mean that's a thought. Anyway,
I think that we will get a Metroid Prime 4 release date on April 2nd. I really do. I think they're going to show that game off and say it's coming to Switch 2, but it's also launching day and date on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think it'll be its own version? Like that would be a separate game.
I do think that it's gonna be like Breath of the Wild. You're gonna have a Wii U version. Or you know what I'm talking about. You're gonna have a Switch version. You're gonna have a Switch 2 version.
Right.
Fun note: I have the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild.
Wow. Is that how you played it?
Really?
No,
Or-
so
Oh.
I moved away to Ireland, and right before we moved away is when the Switch came out and Breath of the
Okay.
Wild, right? And so I had a friend come over, and we like for a weekend, like we played Breath of the Wild. He's like, "This is amazing." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." And he's like, "So when you're going to Ireland, like you're taking your Switch with you?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You taking your Wii U with you?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Is this available on the Wii U?" I was like, "Yeah." So he kept my Wii U for 3 years.
Oh,
He
wow.
bought himself Breath of the Wild. That's how he played Breath of the Wild. And then when I moved back, he's like, "Yeah, I'm done with the console and the game," and he gave them both back to me. And I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
Nice.
"Deal." So I've got a Wii U Tears of the Kingdom. So
Man.
all right. Speaking of software, I want to share a couple interesting things with you. So spoiler alert, folks, Mario Kart 8 still the number one selling game on the console. 67.35 million units. Now
The
here's
worst
the
selling Mario Kart of all
right
time.
ever,
Remember
ever.
that?
And
So,
what
so we can see here exactly how many of the bundles that they sold.
Well, there you go, Marty. That's
Uh,
it. So here's the interesting part. Remember, folks, last quarter, Nintendo sold 4.82 million Switches, and they sold 3.08 copies of Mario Kart. So every 2 out of 3 Nintendo Switches that were sold had Mario Kart with it, whether it was the pack in or you purchased it with it. 2/3
64%.
attachment rate.
Yeah.
60. Yeah, I was like, this is ridiculous. And you wonder why we're only now getting Mario Kart, whatever they're calling this, after how many years.
yeah.
Jesse, do you remember how many the Wii U sold? I want to think it was like 8 million. Like I think
That
collectively this
sound
game,
I can
right?
find out
Sounds
really quick.
close.
That sounds close. And also best-selling game for that system.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, by far. Right? Like the lifetime of this game that is nearly a decade old will be 75 million units sold.
Yeah.
8.46 million.
There you go.
I always think about how that's like my kid's only Mario Kart game. I don't count
Right?
I don't count the mobile one. Like that's all they know.
Yeah.
Well, they know the Wii one because we play the Wii one, but like that's it. It's just that's the Mario Kart that exists. So when they saw the little teaser footage on that reveal video, they got pretty excited. They're like, "Oh my god, finally! Like a new Mario Kart."
Right?
Yeah.
Phil, are you thinking it's a launch title?
No, it has to be.
Has to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Has
you
to be.
want you
It's
want to
not
get that
day
out.
one within 2 months.
Yeah, I would be shocked if it wasn't day one. But like I was
Launch
thinking
window.
about launch window. Great point. Yeah. Because it came out a month after the Switch did, right?
Yeah.
I think it was like April. We were all like, what? So
Yeah.
I think
Uh,
they're going to lead. I actually think they're going to lead with it.
Yeah,
I
for
think it's
sure.
such
Yeah.
a big deal that that's going to be in the slate of launch titles.
I think you get that in
Because-
Metroid or the two. And
Yeah.
then maybe some weird one, some weird game that takes advantage of the controller doing something weird. I don't know.
Chibi Robo.
Yeah.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
That's funny. Let's jump in. I want to highlight some games that came out in the last quarter and how they ended up charting. Super Mario Party Jamboree ended up selling 6.17 million copies.
It's a
That
good
jumps
number.
it to number 26 on Nintendo's best-selling games of all time.
Crazy.
That's pretty incredible.
Did that even like come with it? Like I know the one came with like Joy-Cons. Is that just by itself that
That's
game?
just by itself.
Wow.
That's
People love that Mario
100%
Party.
by itself. Interestingly enough, Mario Party Superstars grand total sold 12.89 million, and Super Mario Party is holding in at number 9 at 21.10. So Mario Party sells well typically,
Crazy.
and this one will continue to as well. Sure, that was under the Christmas tree for lots of folks. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom sold 3.91, putting it at number 33. Originally, it was number 43 earlier in the year when it was our last fiscal quarter. Couple other numbers to bring to your attention.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, Mario, why the face on the Zelda number?
I think it's criminally underrated.
Oh, okay.
Mm,
That's a very low number for that good of a game.
Yeah, it's definitely not tracking, Tears or Breath of the Wild
No.
numbers for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the closest thing that sort of would be in a line with it would potentially be Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening sold 6.63 million is at number 25. So
Okay.
it'll be interesting to kind of see if we're kind of comparatively tracking apples to apples ish,
Yeah.
where that number may end up
Yeah.
being in the
It
very end.
probably has sold a little bit more than that, but they don't tell us the new numbers unless a game is sold more than 1 million within a fiscal year.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's fair. That's
So
fair.
that's the best number we have from the
Yep.
last time it sold.
Do you
A
think that's
couple other.
considered a flop? I'm sorry, Justin. I keep
No, no,
cutting you
you're
off.
grand, Philip. Go ahead.
Do you think they consider that a flop? 3 million?
I hope
I'm
not. That's my point with that is I
yeah.
want it to be a higher number because I love that style of Zelda.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really great question whether they consider it a flop.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think it all depends on what their budget is, but Nintendo normally keeps the budgets in check, unlike the other companies,
Yeah.
where a game sells 7 million and they still lost money because they
Right.
wanted 15
Right.
yeah.
because they spent 500 million in development.
I
I think
mean,
the
I
th-
don't
the thing
know
I
because
like
you're continuing to getting Xenoblade Chronicles releases, and all of those are hovering around like the almost 2 million,
Okay.
but not there yet. I mean, Chronicle a definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 both are at 1.91 million sold.
Okay.
yeah. I think the thing I like about it is that they're able, and it sounds weird, but like able to establish a new, not franchise or IP, but a new version of the Legend of Zelda franchising, right? And I think to increase and I think sort of like Princess Peach as well, right?
Hmm.
Like it's not necessarily a new IP, but it's a new franchising of the idea and allows for them to now have a more diverse portfolio within that IP.
Yeah.
I think that's a success. And then I think the other part of it is I think what we've seen, in my opinion, is this like empowerment of the female protagonist, right, in a really solid justifiable way. And I think that's a solid win for them, and I think it's a great opportunity. So I don't yeah, I don't know if they've considered a failure for sure. I don't know. What do you think, Philip?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what they what they would think of it. I mean, it's weird. Like 3 seems low for Zelda, but maybe it's not really. We're just, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are so big that they kind of like skew your expectations a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's like comparing the profits and stuff from last year, where like they made half the profit over last year, and people saw that and got spooked. I'm like, remember last year had Tears of the Kingdom? It wasn't a normal year. It
yeah,
was a weird
yeah,
year. So you
Yeah,
really can't compare that and expect it to be the same this year.
and let me maybe like put some context around like what's sitting around it, because again, it's at 33. So number 30 is Kirby Star Allies.
hmm
Number 31 is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Number
wow,
32 is Fire Emblem Three Houses. 33 is Echoes of Wisdom. 34 is
These
One Two
these are in the
Switch.
low 4 millions.
Yeah, and
okay,
35 is Pikmin 4.
okay,
So like you're in pretty decent
yeah. So it did
company.
well. It did well.
Yeah,
I guess.
comparatively. Like yeah, you're not hitting
Yeah,
Animal Crossing numbers, right? But I
yeah.
think like it's I like listen,
I like how you
they
completely bypass 34.
I said One Two Switch.
Yeah, he
You
said
did
it.
you? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I,
I was like,
guess
I had no problem necessarily.
I guess
think
I
should
blanked out there.
That's okay. A lot of people did on that game. Whoa. Um,
It was
I mean,
great for an afternoon.
yeah, right. I think it's a great example of like not everything can be a home run, but
Yeah.
singles and doubles are good too, and it
Hmm.
helps move those things.
Yeah.
A couple other games I want to call our attention to that happened last year. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door comes in at 2.06 million. Luigi's Mansion 2 comes in at 1.8 million. And Mario and Luigi Brothership comes in at 1.4 million as
Now
well.
that kind of feels like a miss.
That feels low for
And how did
sure.
how did Mario RPG do?
Yeah, I actually just saw that a moment ago because I was right past it. Mario RPG. Mario
Thir-
RPG comes at 3.31.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. So
I wonder if that was like the nostalgia factor for that one that
that
sold that
probably
one.
played a part of it, I would think.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
probably the same for Thousand Year Door too. There was a
Mhm.
lot of
yeah.
people who wanted to replay that game.
The other thing I would say is maybe, and this is one of the things that I think about, is a bit of the fatigue,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
3 of them.
Three of them in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I finished Thousand Year Door, and I was like, I don't really know if I want to power through Brothership right now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it did feel a bit fatiguing. Now they are different SKUs of JRPGs, but they are still JRPGs,
Yeah.
right? And so I think there could have been some fatigue around that as well.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out this that I, I is are the only two newer-ish, and I'm gonna put it in quotes, new-ish Switch games are the only two that are in the top 25. Um, Switch Sports and Mario Wonder.
Tears of Kingdom.
Oh
Is-
yeah,
are you-
Tears of the Kingdom too. I mean, but it's top 10. I'm just thinking like I was
Uh,
looking at 11 through 25.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No, it's
and
okay. It's okay.
yeah, both of those have sold a million this quarter or this fiscal year, so they updated those numbers to, and so they went up.
I'm just saying
They,
it's interesting that those are the only newer titles
Hmm.
that are in the top 25.
yeah, looks like it goes from 11. Switch Sports at 11, Wonder at 12, and then Jamboree at 26.
I wonder if
Everything
Switch
else
Sports
is
got the bundle bump as well.
Hmm.
that.
Because if
Yeah, I
15
think they
is
did in Europe,
15
didn't they?
is 15.606 million, and then 11 is 15.74 million.
Hmm.
That's less than a million bumped up to go four spaces up the charts.
Yeah.
So they did have a
Mhm.
European bundle for Switch Sports, and I'm sure that
Hmm.
helped.
Yeah. A couple of things.
I'm not just saying, I'm not trying to like say anything bad about Nintendo first party games from that. I'm just saying it's interesting that we've not seen anything um since 2022 that has really cracked the top 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I want to actually put some context around Brothership at 1.4. I want to give a little bit of like what's around that. Um, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, y'all remember this, right? The car?
Yep.
Yeah, 1.73. Fire
Okay.
Emblem Engage, 1.68. Marvel's Ultimate Alliance, 1.60.
Wow.
Labo, the first one, the Variety Kit, 1.42. So that's above Brothership.
Wow.
The game right below Brothership at 1.36, Metroid Prime Remastered.
Wow.
So, and interestingly enough, Princess Peach Showtime is 1.3. So
Okay.
we're kind of interestingly enough floating around some of those numbers on the back half. It'll be interesting to kind of see if there's much of a tail on those as well. Okay, a couple other things I want to bring to your attention as well. Digital sales are now up to 51% of total software sales. That is up from 48.1% of Q1 and Q3. So we've moved it by approximately 3% of this year. Phillip, as a guy who has a lot of physical collections, obviously behind you for physical hardware, how are you feeling about this increase in digital? Obviously, this is a pretty low percentage, but we're now at a point here that we're actually selling more digitally than we are physically.
I'm kind of cool with it actually. I definitely resisted it for a while. Now, the Switch games, if I do try to like to buy them physically because of just the storage on that thing, and it just helps to have the cartridge. But like my PS5, I find that like I hate changing discs on it. Um, I bought um I bought the Final Fantasy 7. They had like a 2-pack before you could buy it before Rebirth came out. So I bought that online or digital, and I was actually cool with that. There's a part of me that kind of still wants to own the disc because they were great games, and it's like I kind of want to have this thing. But I don't know, it was great. I just enjoyed playing it. All my PS5 stuff, I actually don't mind playing right off of that machine. It's a weird, you know why? Because do you guys have a PS5? Like you play it
Yeah.
regularly?
Yeah.
No. Like
Yeah.
if that thing only holds like, I don't know, a handful of games on there. So I don't even play it that much, really. I mean, I played the Final Fantasy, all the major Final Fantasies I played on there, 16 and the 2 sevens, a few other games. But I've already been finding myself like deleting I just delete stuff. So it's a different mindset, I
Yeah,
feel.
if you
Like
don't,
it's
Yeah.
if you, I did the added the internal, like 2 terabyte stick or whatever that you could buy and
yeah.
in the memory slot, and that's helped. But still, when games are 500 gigs,
Yeah.
one or 2 terabyte bump is not that as big as people think it is.
Yeah, no, they and the games are they're like just these massive games. They're just ridiculous. It's like, oh my God, this thing's huge. Yeah, so I just have a different mindset with those games. It's just like I play them, and then when I'm done, I know one day I'm gonna delete it. It's weird to think of them like more like consumables. Like you play the
Mm.
game and it goes
Yeah,
away. Like it's strange, especially when
yeah,
you grow up and you're like the game, when you were a kid, like you didn't get too many games. So when you had that one game, it just meant so much to you. And now
Yeah.
as an adult
And
with
then
limited time, the game is just like it's in and it's
and
out.
then the next logical step will be streaming, and you don't even have to download anything. And then it's
Yeah, I used to
it's
think
got
that was
it's also gone.
yeah, I used to think that was a terrible idea, but I mean, if it works good, I don't care.
Well,
It has to work good.
it works for video content. I'm still reluctant on gaming content.
Gaming stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But
Mm.
yeah, overall though, I do still like to have the disc, especially if it's something that I really want. But in the case of those Final Fantasy games, it was a good deal, and it was the only way to get it. Well, not the only way to get it, but I think it was 60 $70, and you got the two games, and you got the DLC for the first one. So
Yeah.
I just thought I'll do that.
I wonder a couple of things I mean 3% increase isn't massive, right? We're not talking double digits, but it's still an
Hmm.
increase to be able to say now Nintendo is like, yeah, over 50% of games software is now digitally downloaded. I wonder if that's a buy. Now, of course, these are worldwide numbers, right? But as I think of like the North American scene, we continue to see the physical outlet stores associated with it beginning to disappear. And I think I've said the story here in Lethbridge where a year ago we had 3 GameStops. We are now down to one.
Oh,
And it's a 15-minute, 20-minute commute to go there. Right. And I'm like, I don't necessarily going to do that. Right. Whereas
yeah.
before, there was one that was only minutes away from my house that I'd support that. Best Buy is, and again, I'm going to use Canada as an example. Best Buy continues to just be like a sad place that doesn't really have
Yeah.
stuff
Uh,
nearly as much
yeah.
anymore.
They have Nintendo published stuff and like limited run stuff. Like
Yeah,
it's
That's
weird.
it.
and so I wonder if we're just kind of continuing to see this like the slow death of the brick and mortar, which is causing this sort of move towards more digital consumption, or if we as a society are just becoming much more comfortable with that idea, right?
Which
Hmm.
Chicken
is
egg.
fine. That's fine when you're talking about a new game release, right?
Yep.
Like I can download it. What sucks is when you're in an area like where I am, where the only major retailer in our town is Walmart, where people don't know that video games exist.
Hmm.
Like the guy who works nights at the electronic, and now they're not open 24 hours. Used to, like, I remember going and sitting at Walmart for the release of the SNES Classic,
Mm.
being
Okay.
first in line for that. They released it at midnight. Well, they don't even do those anymore.
Mm.
The guy who works over the electronics is literally Mr. Magoo. Like I think he is the live action Mr. Magoo. He like I would go in there before for games since I've lived here, and they would promise like, oh, it's available 12:01, and he would be like, I didn't even know anything was coming out tonight.
Yeah.
And he'd have to shuffle off to the back and find it. The next place,
I wonder
uh,
how many listeners are Googling who the hell is Mr. Magoo now?
probably several. I know Mecha Dragon is, but um, we had a GameStop. It was one of the first to close. Um, the Best Buy is 30 minutes away, and there's a GameStop there, close to there, that's probably closing soon. And all they have there close to there is a Walmart and a Target. So my options for pre-ordering consoles are now more slim than ever. Like
Hmm.
if I want to go stand in line and hopefully, because I mean I had to stand in line for Switch at GameStop, and I was first in line, but I still stood in line for 2 hours before they opened, There were 10 people behind me.
Yeah.
There were people who didn't get a Switch. So I either run the gamble that a lot of people are now having to run of do I chance it online and hope the scalpers don't get them all? Or do I go stand in line and hope that I make it in time to get in line with as the number of consoles they're promised?
Yeah, and I know that Nintendo this week has already made a comment, I think it was this week or last, about the scalping situation, and that they are actively looking at ways to try and mitigate that. And I
Yeah.
almost wouldn't be shocked if you see a situation similar to like Alarmo, right? And that it was you had to have a Nintendo Switch Online account, and you went online and
I'd
you were
be
able
okay
to
with that.
order,
Yeah.
right? And I wonder if that was sort of, I mean, obviously, they wanted to sell alarms as well, but I wonder if that was sort of like a test of like, could the infrastructure work? Because only now, post, I think it was March, is when they're saying you'll now be able to buy Alarmo like without a
Why
Switch
why
Online
would they pick
subscription.
that specific product, right? Like it's like there's going to be like super demand for a alarm clock.
Yeah,
I think it was
I
a
mean, I think it's
test.
more just testing, does the infrastructure work to be able to
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
that, right?
Yeah.
More than
absolutely.
anything.
And I think it was a success, and hopefully they do something
Yes.
similar for this.
Did you all
Yeah.
get one?
I did actually, yeah.
I wanted one, but I didn't get it. But I did want
I
one.
I was not interested.
I sort of have to laugh. So my daughter has it in her room. She's upstairs on the same floor as me and my wife, and
Mhm.
it's in her room. And so a couple things. She has it set for Mario. So at every top of the hour, a Mario coin sound is made. So like at 9 o'clock at night, it's 9 coins that go off. Ding, ding,
Oh,
ding,
it does a coin
ding.
for each.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. But what happens is she was at camp last weekend, but she never turned off her alarm, and it goes off at 6:30 every single morning. Well, all of a sudden it's getting like, I'm kind of like, I mean, I'm sort of waking up and I'm like, why do I hear Mario music? Like, what is going on? It's getting louder and louder. And and I'm pretty sure like Bowser is getting angry. And I'm like waking up to this massive sound of like it's like a nightmare fueled a moment of video game history occurring in my head. And I'm like, where is this damn alarm at 6:30 in the morning? So I was not happy about that. I had to talk to her about that one, but yeah. But it's a
That's
fun little
great.
device. And it actually, they download updates. They downloaded
Oh,
an update
cool.
recently for Mario Kart. So you could
Cool.
change it to Mario Kart themed if you wanted, or
Nice.
Pikmin. It's kind of fun. So
That is cool.
yeah,
I
expensive. It's an expensive alarm
Yeah.
clock.
I just
I will
like that
tell
they
you.
made like a toy again, you know? It's
Yeah.
like feels like they go back to their roots a little bit with something like that. It's fun.
Yeah, love it. A couple of things I'll jump in and talk about here. Speaking of hardware, this week Nintendo confirmed that the Nintendo Switch 2 Nintendo Direct that is occurring on April 2nd will start at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So change that to your own
Daylight
time
time.
zone. Yeah, daylight time. Thank you. Eastern Daylight Time. So that's great. I guess it's gonna be an early
Yeah.
morning for most of us to watch this thing.
Yeah.
Last time, it feels like they're treating it just like a direct. Interestingly enough, what they have traditionally done for their directs, and I suspect we'll get when we get closer to this, we'll see an updated tweet.
Mhm.
They didn't tell us how long it would be. That's something they've traditionally
no.
done over the last like several years, which is join us for a 40-minute direct where we tell you about the future games you'll be playing in the next da 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 da. They didn't
I
do
think
that.
we'll see some Treehouse after this as well.
Could be.
Just
Mm.
like they did with Switch. If you remember, they did the big Switch presentation. They dropped the release date of Breath of the Wild and the Switch, and then they're like, "Stay tuned for Reggie on the Treehouse unboxing the collector's
Yeah.
edition of Breath of the Wild." There's going to be something like that. That's why they're doing it at the time they're doing it.
Yeah.
Um, I love that it's at this time because I'm occupied on Wednesday nights, and I was hoping that it would not be a Wednesday night when I saw the date. Um, at 8 a.m. It's look, and
We'll be
boys,
live.
after that, it's off to the races, right? I mean,
I think I
it's
think
all
their
downhill
time in
from there.
Europe and their time in Japan are pretty much worldwide at the same time.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I saw one place, and I don't know exactly who this was, but it was like, join us at midnight on April 3rd for the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal. It was
Yeah.
like one of Nintendo's other accounts from another country.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Should be good. Should be good. We're slowly getting there, folks. Slowly getting there. Less than
It just
60
feels like
days.
it's forever.
Less than 60 days
I mean, that's pretty cool.
to it.
I actually
All
talked
right.
to my wife about the trailer that they released a few weeks ago, and she goes, "A trailer for a video game?" I'm like, "That's what they're calling it." And I actually sent her the video, and I said, "See, they called it a trailer too." And she goes, "Can there be spoilers for it?" And she because
There
because
were?
we saw a billboard driving home last night. Basically, it was like a hint for what one of the Super Bowl commercials was going to be. It was for Pringles, and she goes, "It'd be a spoiler for a Super Bowl commercial." I said, "Yes,
A spoiler
there
for a
are."
commercial. Wow.
I said, "No, it's a trailer."
Man, late stage capitalism is a heck of a drug.
I mean, there technically were spoilers for the Nintendo. I mean, we knew it. We knew what it looked like. Everything was.
Yeah.
And there were people that were mad that we saw what it looked like. So
100%.
yeah, there were spoilers.
Yeah.
Speaking of Nintendo Switch 2 and potentially spoiling some information that you may not want to know, earlier today it was confirmed that Nintendo has put out some patents specifically in relation to their Joy-Con functionality that we saw demonstrated in the release video a couple weeks ago. To no one's surprise, it is the ability to use the Joy-Con in a function very similar to a mouse. And so these are available online. You can take a look at it. It's literally showing how a Joy-Con would rest on in the fingers and where the L and the R would, and how the actual stick is kind of where your thumb is. So there are those images available to show you how it works, and that it is an option for literally both hands to use it as well. No big shock. Again, this was very much shown off in the direct as well. There was just no actual hands playing it, but it was definitely heavily implied. The other patent that was shown off, now this one we did not see, but this is sort of an interesting one, is a patent for a Switch Pro controller that splits and allows for some level of mouse usage as well. This one is sort of interesting. This one we have not obviously seen, and potentially we see it. Maybe it will be in the Switch 2 trailer as well. How are you all feeling a couple weeks out about this whole like using Joy-Cons as mouse apparatuses? I don't know.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I cannot wait to get my copy of Mario Teaches Spreadsheets.
Nice. I love it. Okay. Phil, how about you? Are you excited for this idea?
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it would be great for a Mario Maker. It might be a cool option for Metroid. So you know, there's some creative stuff they could do with it. But yeah, I'm more interested to see what kind of weird thing are they going to come up with for it. So my other thought too with the and I'm probably totally wrong here, but with that split one where it looks like maybe it's a Pro, maybe the dog bone or the dog face. What did we call that when it docked in, when the Joy-Cons dock into the
Grip.
Maybe it's just the grip. Maybe the grip just kind of comes apart now.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's just a thought.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Love that. Jesse,
Yeah,
nice.
the
Feeling
thing-
good? Feeling bad?
Well, the thing it all depends on what the developers come up with it. Most games where I use a mouse, I also use a keyboard, which won't be a thing here. So
Maybe.
yeah, or yeah, maybe. Well, but it'll be like one controller and a mouse, or there is still limits of what you can do or what a human can do at one time. So hopefully, but they have the N64 controller, which made things work. So hopefully they'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. I'm very interested to see what this all ends up looking like in the end. So yeah, there's some patents out there which confirm that what the intent is for it as well. A couple of things I want to make you aware of. Upcoming game releases. Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition comes out on March 20th. Pokemon Legends Z to A, Zia, and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond still don't have dates, but are slated for 2025, as was indicated in the conversation this week from Nintendo's fiscal report as well. One other thing, and Jesse, I really want to chat with you about this because this came through the wire, the intranet this week. And I thought, well, this is interesting.
I got pinged at least 6 times on the Discord about this.
So Nintendo to stop accepting foreign credit cards and PayPal accounts for payments in the Japanese region starting March 25th, and it's in order to prevent fraudulent use. Jesse, this is something that you do openly, right? Like, this is how it's like full transparency behind the scenes. This is actually how we sometimes get games a whole day earlier because you order.
I've talked about this openly before. But the thing is, I always thought that they never allowed these. So this really doesn't impact me because I don't use those methods. I buy Japanese region eShop credit through PlayAsia, and then punch in the code to get in my Japanese account to get Japanese credit. So it sounds like that is still going to be a thing because
Jesse, you need to do a how-to video. Like, I'm serious. How do I continue to purchase Japanese games now that I can't use PayPal or credit card? And it's Uncle Jesse shows you how to get around the system. I think that's really important because I think people probably might find that valuable.
Yeah, well, because I actually looked at my account just because I knew the U.S. accounts, you couldn't put more than $250 in it. So I figured the Japanese limit would be 25,000 yen. I looked and I had like 14,900. So I bought another 10,000 yen and slapped it on there. So I am almost at 25,000 yen right now. And
wow.
And Jesse, for people's curiosity, let's talk about like, why do you do that? Because like the games don't come in Japanese, correct? Like
right. Because region free system. So if the game is going to be released worldwide, it's the same ROM no matter where you are. So if the game says it supports English, it supports English everywhere. Yeah. So there are Japanese only games that are only in Japanese, and I'm screwed. Unless but all the big first party games, they'll be in English. So yeah, there's two main reasons why I do it. One, I get the game 18 hours early or so, depending on where the time zones land and whatnot. So I can, so I'll often take a half day off on Thursday. Well, now, back when there was Friday releases, I would take a half day off on Thursday and start playing Thursday afternoon. Now that they release on Thursdays, I can start playing Wednesday evening after work.
What's the last game you did that with?
Brothership.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then second, due to how poor the yen is compared to the dollar, when I buy, like if I buy the game vouchers for $100 in North America, it's 2 for 9,990 yen, which normally it works down to like $80. So I'm paying.
Cool.
So I'm paying $80 what I would have spent $100 for in North America region for the same thing. So whether game vouchers will be a thing or not with the Switch 2, we don't know. They haven't announced that yet. I expect they will probably continue it, but maybe with a price bump, especially if the normal prices will go up to $70 like I'm predicting. So having like instead of $100, it'll be $120, or instead of 10,000 yen, it'll be 12,000 yen. But either way, just due to the currency conversions, it's a better deal to buy them in the Japanese region.
Smart.
Yeah. What do you think they do with this little off topic? What do you think they do with the shop for Switch 2? You think because that shop is a disaster.
I hope they fix it.
I honestly think it's not going to change much because at least with the web version, at the time when the Switch launched, you were able to buy Wii U games, 3DS games, and Switch games in the same place. They've dropped off the Wii U and the 3DS. So, but I still think you'll still be able to buy Switch games, and you can buy Switch 2 games, and because as they've all got the same back end as the front end, I don't think it's going to be improved all that much.
Yeah, that's a great point, is the fact that the moment you turn on that Switch 2 and go to that eShop has to be fully accessible to what the Nintendo Switch OG, all content is available there.
Yep.
So I don't think they're going to do any changes to the looks
You'll
at
be
all.
able to buy Switch games on your Switch 2, but you will not be able to buy Switch 2 games on your Switch.
Yeah. So that means like that entire marketplace will still be the exact same.
Yeah. So they'll probably be, well, it's all web-based anyway. The eShop itself isn't on the Switch. It's in a web browser. So they're able to know what system you're on and filter the games based on that.
I agree, though, Phil, they need to do something with it. It's horrendous.
Just better categories or better filtering would be welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even, I don't know, like, when the Switch first came out and you opened up that shop and it had like 5 games on there or whatever, but like that's what everybody had to choose from. That was it. All you had was, and that was the spotlight. The focus was on those few games that were there day one. And I just wonder, like, will they even have something like that for that launch where it's like, this is the focus here.
Yeah. Man, I love that. I think the other interesting part, Phil, that I think we're going to see ourselves in a different scenario than we were at the original Switch was the amount of people, the amount of developers that want to be there on day one. That thing's going to be flooded anyways.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, where before it was like, hey, it's Snake Pass and Mario Kart, right? And like, because nobody knew. But like
Snipper Clips.
Snipper Clips, right? Like, every developer now is like, and we're hearing this from the CEOs, we're hearing this from Ubisoft. Like, we have a really healthy relationship with Nintendo, and we're very excited to make sure that we are partnering with them day one.
Yeah.
And so like there is going to be so much jammed in at consumers for that first, I think, 12 months of the Switch 2. It's going to be like ridiculous.
I hope maybe they just curated a little bit in the beginning, because there is something about that launch week, where you're like, I'm gonna buy this weird like Snipper Clips. Like if Snipper Clips came out today, and it's not that it's bad, it's not a bad game, but if it came out today, I would not buy Snipper Clips. I have no interest in buying that game. But
I remember going on the eShop and there being like 3 games.
Yeah, exactly. And you're just like, I just want to get something to play. I think maybe Blaster Master was there. If it wasn't there day one, it was
Blaster
real
Master
soon.
Bomberman.
I Am Setsuna. Bomberman, Snipper Clips. I was mainly interested in what can I not buy at the store.
Yeah.
And there were the few that World of Goo, I think was pretty quick after that, like it was within the first week.
Yeah. So there's that element of like, I'm just want to get something new for my new console. So if it's just the shop is just this crappy AI art looking games and all that's like, if it's all just there and it's not curated at all in some kind of unique way, I don't know. That'd be a bummer.
Yeah,
Third Strongest Mole says, I buy digital games on Switch from my PC for a reason. And when I'm not using a voucher, I do the same thing. I buy it from the PC instead of the eShop on console.
I also just find it like loads slow. Like the caching is slow, I find as well, just in relation to like I always like to go to like the coming soon and I'll scroll through and be like, oh, did I miss something? Right. And I'll take a look at that. But like I find that cache is slower than I want it to.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like I've got to like drag down and wait.
Yeah.
And I was like, this.
You got to scroll down 4 or 5 lines, and then you can just watch the icons drift in.
It's the worst. Sometimes you hit back by accident and you lose all your progress. And you're just
you're like,
I'm done. I'm done.
Board, I'll come back next month or next week when they refresh again. I'll take a look at that. Yeah. No, I agree that I would love if they do something right, and I don't know how they do it, but they need to look at it for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of Nintendo Switch games in your eShop, a couple things and releases to make you aware of. Ridge Racer 64 is out now, available on the N64 app with NSO, and expansion. Also announced earlier today, Wario Land will be coming on Valentine's Day.
Wario Land 4. When I copied and pasted it, the 4 didn't go with. But.
That's fair enough. The Game Boy Advanced app with NSO and expansion pack. So if you don't have a Valentine's Day date on February 14th, go hang out with Wario. He would love to hang out with you.
They're actually both great. I like Ridge Racer as well. 64.
Nice. Yeah. Fantastic. All right, folks, that is our news. We're going to take a quick ad break and then come back and talk to Phil about his amazing Kickstarter. So let's jump right into our ad break. Big thanks to Manscaped for their continued support of Nintendo Dads. Hey, folks, it is the biggest face-off of the entire year. Gentlemen, Super Bowl and Super Balls. Don't let your grooming game get flagged for unnecessary roughness. Introducing the Beard and Balls bundle from Manscaped, your ultimate grooming MVP. This kit keeps you sharp from face to, well, below the waist. And don't fumble your grooming game. Step up and score big where it matters the most. Join the movement trusted by over 12 million men worldwide and visit manscaped.com and use the promo code NINDADS, NINDADS, for 20% off and free shipping. Again, that's NINDADS, NINDADS, for 20% off and free shipping. Power starts here. So, gentlemen, folks, get ready for the Super Bowl. Be prepared. Who is your MVP? It's got to be Manscaped. We love our products here at Manscaped. Big thanks to their continued support. They got some fantastic products. So head over to manscaped.com. Check it out. They've got everything to keep you ship shaped and ready to go from top of your head to the bottom of your toes. Head over to manscaped.com. All right, let's jump into it. Phillip Summers, you've been a busy man, is the word I'm going to say,
Sure.
or anticipating a very busy man. Let's talk this Kickstarter.
All right.
Right?
Ready.
Give us the rundown of the Kickstarter, which, might I add, as I'm literally on Kickstarter's page, it states fully funded in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
So, Phil, run us through this thing. Run us through where you are now, where you're going, stretch goals, how much time is left, how people can support you.
All right. So, time left. We got, well, now it's saying 6 days, but yeah, we got a week to go. So next Thursday, actually, I think this time, next Thursday, 11. So yeah,
Nice.
that'll be it. So we're at 110 or 113 grand. We have 2,500 backers. So I mean, pretty awesome that people are into this, and it's been a heck of a campaign. I can tell you that. It's running a Kickstarter campaign. And I have help. It's a lot of work, but it's been fun.
So talk to us about, like, what is it exactly for those who maybe don't know? It's a Mega Man art book, right?
Yep.
And I'm looking at the website here. It says officially licensed by Konami, or sorry, Capcom. I apologize, Konami.
Yep.
That'd be a surprise. By Capcom. Right. Talk to us about the book, what you're covering. It's 200 plus pages. It is, as it says here, hand drawn game guide Mega Man. So what can we expect?
All right, so a quick little history. So I've been doing these books called hand drawn game guides for years now, but they were never official. It was just me working on things. I tried to run a campaign about 3 years ago now. Actually, yeah, over 3 years, and that got shut down, rightfully so, because I'm trying to sell stuff that wasn't mine. So I kind of pivoted for a little bit, but Lucas from NF Magazine, he kept me in mind all these years, and he got a hold of Mega Man, and he said, "Phil, I want you to work on this Mega Man book with me, and we're gonna do this right this time." So that's where we are. So I'm working on a strategy guide for the original Mega Man for the NES. There's actually, it does include Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge as well for Game Boy. And it's going to be this huge, over 200-page book where it's part strategy guide, part art book, part a little bit of storybook. And it's going to be great. So,
nice. Yeah, Marty,
yeah.
Marty, you're the biggest Mega Man fan I know, right? I'm gonna throw to you. I saw this and I was like, Marty, have you seen this even before it went
Yeah.
live? Because there was a lot of like teasing of, hey, it's going live soon.
Yep.
Marty, I'd love to throw it to you and like just where do you want to go with this?
Yeah, so I've already told Philip this before we kind of started recording tonight. I cannot wait to get this in my hands. I love the original Mega Man so much.
Awesome.
And when I say the original Mega Man, I mean the original iteration of the character.
Yep.
Mega Man 2 is one of my comfort food games. It's the game I go to when I just need to check my brain at the door
Yep.
and go play something. And I have a huge love for this original Mega Man as well. I remember picking it up at a video rental store because the cover was so bad. And I think there's tons of people, they have this story about the Mega Man cover art.
Yep.
Um, that it either pushed them away from the game or it drew them to
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
For me, it drew me to it. I had to figure out what this was, and I was like looking at the back of the box. In the front of the box, they weren't matching up, and I was like, now this game looks good."
Was it your
And
first Mega Man game?
it
One?
was, it
Okay. Yeah,
was,
yeah.
and so I remember playing it and not being able to finish it. Of course,
Yeah.
I didn't do that till much later. After two, after three, I went back finally and beat the
Yeah.
original Mega Man. But Tim actually introduced us to you back in the day
Hmm.
through the Contra and the Zelda guides that you
Yeah.
did,
Yep.
and we actually have I have copies of those in
Awesome.
PDF form. But just the fact that you're getting to do this officially, and that I'm looking through the Kickstarter page right now, it comes with a ton of good swag and stretch goals.
Hmm.
I guess my question is this: is that so? It sounds to me like Lucas was the one who made the initial contact
Yeah.
to bring you on board. Um, what has it been like working with Capcom?
So I haven't been dealing with them. That's all him. But so far so good. Like we, I don't know how much like inside like baseball I can give you here, but basically we made like a pitch. It was like a 12-page pitch. A lot of that is what you're seeing, but everything in related to Cut Man, we basically
Yeah.
we took care of that whole chunk to give them like a good idea, like this is what we're gonna do. And they appeared to be pretty receptive to it. They were cool with the way everything looked. I was expecting actually like a lot of pushback on that, but they kind of wanted it
Okay.
to be its own unique thing. They gave us one note. It was like a single note on an enemy description, and that was it. And I was like, all right, that's cool. And
Wow.
I think the note, my description didn't like because everything is being, I think I might be getting something wrong here, but I think everything's being translated for them. So like I think something may have got lost in translation with the one robot that I described.
Gotcha.
It was just like a silly joke, but and they just wanted to change. They were just like, that doesn't make sense. That's not what that is. And I was like, okay, it's fine. But that was it. So um hopefully the rest of it is just as smooth sailing. We had them approve a few more things since then, but yeah, it's going to be a process of just like we're just approving everything, and I expect changes. But so far so good.
Yeah. Do you get a sense from, and again, I know you said you haven't really gotten to work all that closely with them. Um, I always get a sense that Mega Man is a low tier franchise for them.
Hmm.
Do you get a sense of where he kind of sits with
Yeah.
Capcom as in working through this project?
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about this a bit because there was actually a thing the other day about sales figures for Mega Man 11.
Yep.
We were going through all these Switch sales and we're wondering if 3 million was low on Zelda or whatever. But apparently Mega Man 11 is their top selling Mega Man game and it did like 2 million. And that's
Hmm.
been over the course since it's come out. And that thing's always on
Wow.
sale for like $5. So I just started thinking, I was just like, it was one of those moments where I was like, well, video games really have grown, right? Because when we were kids growing up with this, Mega Man was on every Nintendo Power. If there was a new Mega Man, it was on the cover of a magazine or whatever, like it was a
Yep.
big deal. But I guess a big deal back then was like, I don't know, maybe they sold 400,000 of these things. I don't know. I'm just pulling numbers out. Like maybe that was big for them. And then I think it was big for them. I think it was reliable, which is why they just kept pounding out
Yeah.
a Mega Man year after year. But then I think they discovered Street Fighter and they're like, well, this is huge. This is way beyond what and then they discovered Resident Evil and they're like, this is way, and then they discovered Monster Hunter. And then I think as time went on and they just made bigger and bigger franchises that just did better and better, like
Yeah.
yeah, Mega Man was just, well,
Kind
and
of
then the other
kind of
thing
goes
I think,
back to the what I said earlier about budgets. The budgets of those original Mega Man games from
Well,
invincible compared to what games are today.
even I've thought about that too, because there's budgets. I mean, they were probably pounded. Who knows how quick they pounded out those six? They probably bounced between games, and it probably took them 6 months to put one of those together. I'm just guessing,
Yeah,
right?
and there's
But
probably only 5 or 6 people on the project.
right, and then they did put a budget into Mega Man 8 and Mega Man X4 because they had the animated cut. I mean, we can goof on the animated cutscenes all you want, but they put money into those things,
Yep.
and incredible sprite art. Um, so I think probably at that time you had Street Fighter, you had Resident Evil. They put money into Mega Man. Didn't quite perform probably the way those NES ones did, which were way cheaper. Um, and then they had Legends, and I don't know how that worked out with them sales wise or whatever, but I just think, yeah, it was one of those things where um, I think he's important to them and their history. He's one of their bigger franchises, but he's probably in the top five. But yeah, I think he's
I
probably
just
like Metroid is to Nintendo.
sure. I just as a fan of Mega Man, I always want more. Like I look at that 2 million sales figure for Mega Man 11, and I'm like, well, maybe that means we're going to get another game.
Yeah.
But I do like your summation of that. I think you're right. It's not that they are intentionally pushing him down
Hmm.
priority wise. It's that there have been, how many millions does a new Resident Evil game sell
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Right? Like immediately, like compared to 2 million over it's taken Mega Man 11 like at least 5 years,
Yep.
I think, to get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a while.
But I just love that, like, I love that they are officially behind this. I love that there's the acknowledgement of, hey, this is important, like, to do.
Hmm.
I hope it's a signal of like, hey, there's maybe more coming down the line. And I know the Kickstarter page definitely says, if we do well enough, that hopefully there'll be a Mega Man 2 and 3 and
Yeah.
on. And I would love to see, you even say Mega Man X. I would love to see that happen as well. But um, what has really been the your favorite thing about this project?
The favorite thing is that it's like for real. Like I'm working on Mega Man. So it's amazing to me. Even with the old ones, there was always just this thought of like, oh, I'm just making this fan art, it's just something I'm doing for
Right.
fun. Whereas this, it's like, oh, it feels a little more real. So the stakes are higher, it feels, like I feel like I really need to make a great product here. So I'm definitely pushing myself.
Gotcha.
Um, but I mean, that's the coolest part of it. And then just being able to, I mean, the freedom to just kind of flesh this stuff out and kind of do my own spin with it. Um, like one of the cool parts with the maps, is I'm kind of trying to build like an environment around the whole map, right? I'm trying to make sense of
Yeah, I
what's
saw
Mega
that.
Man running through, right? Yeah, so with Cutman, I made like this big facility like in the woods, and it's like, oh, well, maybe he's just in his room, he's just cutting logs all day. So I have like, there's a truck pulling, and then I was like, well, then I can actually fit this into like a story. So then all the levels kind of have like a little bit of a story to them, and what's the robot doing there in that moment? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that, and that stuff's been fun to figure out.
See, I really love this whole concept because I think one of the things that we miss with games today, especially with single player games, and platformers, and I'll just pick on Mega Man, is I remember poring over the instruction book that
Hmm.
came with the old NES games.
Oh
Like
yeah.
there's story in those books. It's not just how to play the game. It's like, why is Mega Man a fighting robot? Why are these robots angry? Who is Dr. Light? Who's
Yeah.
Dr. Wily? And you see some of that in those guides or in those books, and now you're getting that again. And I think we miss that in our current culture. And yeah, there can be like, I guess, um, there could be digital guides that come with games now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see some of that happening, but still, we miss that tangible thing that we can hold on to. I mean, the nerd alert moment here. I remember taking the instruction book of Super Mario Brothers 2 to school with me,
Yeah.
so that, like, my friends and I could look at it
Yep.
and say, "Oh, have you seen this enemy? Have you seen this
Yeah.
item?"
Yeah.
and we miss that. And I think it's one of the missing components of like when Metroid Dread came out, there was
Hmm.
this big conversation of, oh, this is not a $59 game.
Yeah.
It's not a $60 game. Oh, it absolutely is. Real people
Oh
worked on
yeah.
this game. They poured
Yeah.
their passion and their blood, sweat, and tears into it. But I think that when we get a package with an empty box and it's just a card, or we download it and there's no instruction booklet, there's no art to look at and dream
Yeah.
about what's in the game, we miss the value that we used to have. And I think guides like this, projects like this can add that value back.
Hmm.
And so that's why I'm excited about it, because I'm hoping, right now you're sitting at like over 2,500 backers for
Yeah.
this, which is awesome. But I would love for this to like even grow out to a bigger audience, right? Like
Hmm.
I've got the Zelda books, that Nintendo did. I've got the Mario Encyclopedia. I've got the NES or the SNES like thing that came out a few years ago. This is going to go on the shelf with those. And it's like these aren't just guides, they're like coffee table books.
Hmm.
They're pieces of a collection. And I just think, man, I'm so excited that you get to do it. And I mean, just personally too, like I'm a fan of your art. I'm a fan of the
Thanks,
way
man.
that you have done and put those projects together in the past. When you were doing the Kickstarter or the Patreon and you were mailing out
Yeah.
the newsletter, I was a subscriber
Oh, cool.
to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love the Mega Man issue you did there. So when this came back, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, I got to get on the backer train. So,
Yeah. Cool.
um, I would encourage all of our listeners to go check out this project on Kickstarter. It's got 6 days left. And I would say this, even if you're not a fan of Mega Man, I think it's important that our community supports projects like this so that creators have this outlet to be able to do some really cool things. Because I know you can't get into the weeds with some stuff like this, but I would have to imagine that there's other ideas for non-Mega Man games and guides
Oh,
that you have
sure.
that you could
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Of course.
Whether it's a passion project or like I know you showed us earlier, you've got a Contra, machine sitting there in your space. I know that's one of your favorite games.
Hmm.
Um, so it could be that, but I hope that it brings you the ability to go and do others. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And that's the whole plan, right? Hopefully everything goes well and everybody's like when I say everybody's happy, I mean all of you guys that have supported this and Capcom, and hopefully it all works out and we can make more of these things, different games, whatever it is, right?
Yep.
So that's I know a lot of people are asking me what's next. I'm like, I got to see this through, and I have to make sure that this turns out great. Um, yeah, and thank you by the way for all
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, man, art, like, I listened to another podcast and they use this phrase called pump your tires. It's like pump up the air on the tires on the bicycle. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here was to talk about this project, but also
Hmm.
like I want to pump the tires a little bit. Like
No.
I want to send some people your way because I
Awesome.
want you to succeed. Because
Thank
I'm
you.
like selfish moment here. I want the Mega Man 2 guide.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. All
Yeah.
right, like I mean, all the
I
others are
know.
great, but the Mega Man 2,
Yeah.
God, that there's just something about that game. I don't.
Yeah.
It's
I almost wanted to be like, can we just go right to Mega Man 2?
yeah,
But we're gonna do Mega Man 1 and we're gonna make it awesome. And like one of the things you touched on with this is like it kind of works as like a coffee table book, but it's also like I really do put a lot of thought into the strategy portion of it. So I do like for me, the ideal scenario is even if you played Mega Man a million times, you're gonna sit here with the book, and I want you to kind of have like a new experience with Mega Man, right? So I want you to just kind of read through, take your time. You're reading. Oh, I hit my mic. You're reading through it. You're looking at the map. Maybe there is some kind of new tip on there that you didn't think of.
yeah,
Um, and that's it. And I want you to kind of have like a little bit of an extra context with the game and just enjoy it that way. That's like the ideal scenario. So hopefully, and when we picked Mega Man, because it's actually really a short game. And I just thought like, how can we, what can we do here to really blow this thing out, right? I mean, we literally have everything. Like everything from the whole game is in here. But yeah, for me it was just like, how can I add like something new to this experience? Because that was one of the things that I really tried to do with Zelda and Metroid was how can I make that's when I really started to think more about the strategy portion of it. With Contra and the Ninja Gaiden guides, they were more straightforward, just maps, not really much in the way of tips. And then I started with Zelda, I really started to have the thinking about like how do I make the strategy port, the walkthrough of this like an important part of it? It's not just, I don't want this to just be I flip through the book and we're done. And when people started to use it with Zelda, way more people did than I thought. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like it worked. Like people are actually using this thing. And then I did that with Metroid, and I did it the best I could with the bi-monthly ones that came out for some of the games. Like Ninja Turtles, I had a blast working on that one. It was more of like, what's the most efficient way through this game? So that was like kind of a challenge. How can I fit this into 8 pages? But with Mega Man, we can really blow this out and show all the big encounters, all the boss fights, and it's coming together pretty nice. So
It's awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Phil, thanks so much for sharing that with us. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, folks, it is still available. The great part is it is fully funded, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes with
It's
Kickstarters,
coming.
you're like, oh, hopefully, I don't know, maybe. No, it's coming. Like it's
Yeah.
going to be there. So getting on board now and supporting Phil and in this endeavor and getting closer to more stretch goals. You're not too far away from I think it's 120,000 is the next stretch goal as well, right? And so and there's lots of tiers for folks to choose. So you can get everything from, I think, just a digital copy, right? Is that a second ago? Yeah, just a digital tier, all the way to like a massive one with lots of extra goodies and extra kind of additions added as well. So they have got lots in your kind of hopefully in your price range if you want to support amazing content creators and friends of the show. So check it out over on Kickstarter.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, Philip, we said earlier in the show, I want to give you the out if you want to. We're going to jump into some like discussion questions, and but if you want to stay, you're welcome to. If you want to head out, you're also welcome to. Whatever works best for you.
I'll stick around a little bit longer. Like, is it okay? I know we're like live. Is it okay if like at some point I'm just like I'm going to bounce?
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. Absolutely,
no problem.
All right.
Yeah, all right. Cool. Let's jump into our spotlight questions. Marty, you asked these questions, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, like we do a question of the week every week, and I thought, what's a good what's a good Valentine's Day question, right? Like the Valentine's Day is coming up, and we've done the like we've done the who would be your waifu question and all kinds of stuff like that before, whatever. But so like you got to get a new angle on this. So here it is, and Philip, we're gonna want your answer too, because we're all gonna answer. Here the question of the week is this: Princess Peach bakes your favorite cake after you rescue her from Bowser's clutches. What kind of cake do you get? From our community, we've got some answers here. Zablanc
We'll give
says,
Philip a couple moments to think on that one.
I already got it.
He's got it. He's got it.
Oh, he's got it.
Just
Okay,
a cheesecake. I'm simple. Just give me a cheesecake.
Just a regular old cheesecake.
Oh yeah, and I'll put some cherries on it or whatever.
Okay.
Great.
I love it. Cheesecake is a fantastic choice. Absolutely. Jesse and Justin will come back to you here in just a second. Yeah. Zablanc wrote in and said, I grew up and lived in New York. Let's go Mets until I was 18 and moved out to Colorado for school. As a native New Yorker, the one true and ultimate cake is a Carvel ice cream cake. 3 words, chocolate flavored crunchies. The world to this day has still not seen a more mysterious and wonderful delicacy. Have you, any of y'all ever had a Carvel ice cream cake with the chocolate?
Never heard of this.
Oh, is it an East Coast thing?
That sounds delicious.
So just like you guys know there's 2 categories of ice cream cake. Right? There's the inferior kind of ice cream cake where they actually try to put cake in it and put ice cream on top of it. And it doesn't work because like the cake is either hard or it crumbles. It's too dry. But then there's the ice cream cake, like Dairy Queen does this here locally. They do a Carvel style ice cream cake where it's 2 layers of ice cream with this a thin layer of like cookie crumble in between it
Yeah.
that has like a fudgy sauce,
Yeah.
right? And that's what he's talking about. And that
Okay.
is an ice cream cake.
And the
That's
magic of the little crumbles is that they're frozen and they don't get like soft
yes.
and chewy. They still have like a
They
crunch
have
to
a
them.
crunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like an
Yeah.
Oreo layer
Yeah.
almost. And he's right. It's wonderful. Now I want ice cream cake. Darth Platypus says, I've been told it sounds odd, but I'm going with sour cream chocolate chip cake.
I think I had a sour cream cake before and it was delicious.
Yeah, it's used in place of like the milk or something. So it's not sour, Justin. I saw you make a face.
Yeah. It's like real moist. It's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Victorious GX says, without a doubt, chocolate ice cream cake. Forget ice cream on cake. I want the ice cream to be the cake. So there you go. Beer Cerveza says, there's only one answer, and it's warm apple pie.
It's not a cake.
Well, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I love it.
You know, that's funny that you say that because my wife keeps telling me that she wants what's called like a pie cakin'.
Mm.
And I know that like there's some people out there who make these, but her version of it is that she wants a pie crust with a cake baked inside the pie crust,
Oh,
like where the pie filling would be.
is that real?
Interesting.
I don't know.
I mean, sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean maybe that's what I'll get her for her birthday.
Sounds possible.
Yeah, we'll see. Hoots says, have Peach release my inner 8-year-old and give me a cookie cake. Like, for the Great American Cookie Company, like with the frosting on top of it.
Yeah, the giant cookie.
And I really wish that I was not hoarse and coughing. I could do my Mario impression here, but this is a brilliant answer.
Mamma mia!
Justin, you read this one then. Read it like
Mamma
Mario
mia! An Oreo cookie cake would make me feel so much super duper woo hoo! And thank you so much.
There you go. Oreo cookie cake for Mario.
That's from Andy.
Yeah, from Andy. Not from the real Mario. So what about you guys? Jesse, Justin, what cake are you getting?
I would say a carrot cake.
Oh yeah, great.
Are you 85?
Carrot cakes are fantastic.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite cakes, probably close to my favorite cake.
You got like the the cream cheese
Yeah,
frosting on there.
That's the only good part
100%.
about it.
Yeah, it's great.
So
good
good.
carrot cake. Moist.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jesse?
Mine would be a German chocolate cake.
Ooh. I've not had one of those in a long time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I've got to agree with Phillip, man. Cheesecake is the way to go.
Yeah.
But for me, it's a specific cheesecake, and it is the tiramisu cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Anyway, that's our discussion question.
Okay. All right. Well, let's head over to our time out section. This is where we talk non-Nintendo stuff and just dad stuff. Yeah, we got some music for that. So, Marty, you got something you want to bring that you want to talk to us about that you went shopping for.
So, I don't know if these things exist in your area, but in the town I live in, there's a Facebook group called Lexington Dollar Auction. And basically what it is people can put up items that they would like to sell. The first bid has to be $1. So you don't set a price on it. So if you put it up there and it sells for $6, then you have to give it to that person for $6. And so we've got some stuff, like sometimes we've gotten shoes and other little things off there until this past week, when in one of my post-flu fever-induced hazes, I opened up the dollar auction to see someone selling an inbox NES action set.
Oh.
Not just an inbox NES action set. It came with 6 games as well.
Ooh. Were they in box too?
No,
Oh
unfortunately.
man, that would have been like,
Now,
oh my
some
God.
of them did come in plastic cases that like have the Nintendo logo on them.
Yeah, yeah.
A couple of them have the old Nintendo slip case that would be
Okay.
in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew like immediately, I was like, I have to bid on this. And so I bid, an initial bid. I think it was like $50. And nobody else bid until it got to be about 10 minutes ahead, left. And that's when the bidding started. And so eventually it gets down to the wire, and there's people who come in and timestamp this so that it's all fair and everything. So I bid my final bid was 165 for the whole thing. Well, a guy came in right after me and bid 170, to which I turned around and bid 171. And so we're waiting for the timestamp, and I look and I'm like, oh well, he beat me. And I did the 171, and I was like, that's probably too late. So they come back and timestamp it all, and come to find out, I won it with
Nice.
my bid of 165.
Oh.
Oh
His came in too
man.
late.
Oh man.
And so now it's sitting right over here on my bed because it was in the chair I'm sitting in right now. It is the Nintendo action set that came with Mario and Duck Hunt,
Excellent.
the orange handled zapper.
Beauty.
All the cords are there. It does need a little bit of cleaning. I'm gonna do that when I feel better. The styrofoam in the box is intact.
Nice.
The poster that it came with is intact. The instruction book that it came with is intact. The setup guide, how to install or how to hook up your Nintendo Entertainment System, is still there
Great.
Nice.
with the cartridge. And hang on, I'm going to grab the bag
And great. Yeah, I want to see the games too. Like,
of the
I mean,
games.
one of them could have been a.
They all came in a big plastic bag here. And so we'll start from let's see. Take my background off, I think, so that you guys can see this a little bit in my messy bedroom. First game is Road Blasters.
Oh my. Okay.
All right.
Does anybody else like hold that up for a second? I just got like the biggest like throwback
Hold up!
nostalgia.
I didn't even notice this. It has the
Oh,
manual with
sweet.
it
You
too.
do got the
Wow.
manual. There you
But
go.
like
So yeah, Road
those
Blasters.
those plastic cases that you held up, like that
the rental.
reminds me of going to school on or going to the video game store
Mhm.
after school on a Friday, renting, like grabbing those plastic cases and walking up to the video rental store,
Yep.
right? And like that is such a nostalgia
Here
throwback.
is the second one. It's Pinball.
Wow.
The old
Those
NES
cases
Pinball.
are in great condition.
And
too.
look, check this out. It also has the manual. Oh, and it has
Oh, cool.
a poster in here as well that I didn't notice. So there's the manual for Pinball.
Those conditions are like incredible.
Yeah, feel like I kind of stole this from these people.
Oh, you're good, man. You won the
So
auction.
here we go. This one's not as in good condition, but it's Talking Super Jeopardy.
Dude, I was gonna guess there's a Jeopardy in there. I was gonna be like, can I just
Oh,
guess
that
some of the games?
definitely feels
now I
like-
wish I
okay.
said it.
Okay, Phil, what else do you think's in there?
Yeah, go ahead and make a guess.
All right, we got Road Blasters, we got Pinball. There's got to be at least Ninja Turtles.
There's got to be a sports game for sure.
There's 4 more games.
Yeah, all right.
Ninja Turtles or maybe Battletoads?
Ninja Turtles, I'm gonna say like no, nothing. Maybe
Try,
Bases Loaded.
Try
Yeah,
the
okay.
original Bomberman.
Oh, all right. I wouldn't have
Wow.
guessed that one.
Okay. And then this one is probably the one that is in the worst condition. It's just dirty.
Okay.
Dr. Mario.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
Nice.
Classic.
But then here you go. So I told you this already. We got Mario and Duck Hunt. This does not have the track and field
Yeah.
version
Oh, yeah.
that mine had when I
Nice.
first got it. But this was the score. This
Oh,
was the
here we
one that I thought
go.
was a gem, and it's Nintendo's version of Tetris.
Tetris version of Tetris is great.
Wow.
So all of those plus, let's see. Let me grab the box. And for our viewers that are watching, here is the box.
Nice.
That's
Beautiful.
spin it around the other side and like show the other like controllers that they like. No, sorry, the other way. I apologize.
Oh.
Already the other side. Because they
Yeah.
have two controllers that they're highlighting that.
Yeah, then
The
Max
max
and the
and the
advantage.
advantage.
I don't ever
And then-
remember seeing the Max. I remember seeing the stick.
The Max,
The Max
is not
was kind
great.
of a horrible
It's not-
thing because it was because you couldn't just
So-
go up, down, left, right. It swiveled, and it was like good for
Here's
ice
the
hockey,
thing.
and that's about it.
I'm looking for the thing that I love the most about this. Here it is. I don't know if you can see it. There's still a Sears price tag on this.
That's cool.
It says
$99.
$99.99.
There it is. Look at that.
And that's when I knew I was like, okay, this is an authentic box. This is a
Yeah.
real thing.
That's
I've yet to hook it up. I really am. I'm planning on this weekend. Last weekend, I just did not feel good enough at all to mess with it. But this weekend, I'm going to finally hook it up. I'm going to go get like a AV to HDMI converter and
Go
see what it's
find
like.
yourself a small CRT, please. Please.
Well, that's what I eventually want to do. And we have a Goodwill locally, so I'm hoping that.
But at least with a converter to HDMI, you can attach it to your capture card and record.
Mm.
Right. Yeah.
Because
So
I've done that
really like to do
with
this.
my Famicom, my Intellivision, my Atari.
So now I need to go and somewhere in this house find my original copy of Mega Man 2.
Oh, it's in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, I've got it in Mario 3 here somewhere in
Oh,
the
that's
house.
cool.
awesome.
All right.
And that's gonna like somebody in our Discord asked, is this gonna be the start of like a collection for you? And here's the deal. Like I would really like it to be, but I just don't know that I have. Like I collect other things. I have a Transformers fan. I've got some amiibo. I may sell the amiibo and start investing in NES cartridges. I don't know. But like this, man, it brings back such like just to hold this
Mm-hmm.
to and like the sound of them hitting together, and that's my
Yeah.
childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before
so-
this, what's the oldest Nintendo console you had on you?
So I have some GameCube games,
Okay.
and we have a GameCube that someone sent me.
Oh, cool.
And I've got some Nintendo 64 games
All right.
that someone sent me for our Secret Santa. And
Oh, cool.
around here somewhere is in a thrift store a few years ago, we found Mario is Missing.
Oh,
And my son insisted that we buy it when he was little.
yeah.
So hopefully, I would like to have all those systems again because I was a dummy
Sold
back
everything.
when you could trade stuff in at Electronics Boutique, EB
Mhm.
Game, like even before it was EB Games.
Yeah.
We had one in Nashville, and I traded all my old stuff in for newer systems. Got probably traded in an entire NES collection, got enough for like 5 games. But I thought I was so cool.
Yeah.
I'm never going to play these again. And now here I am, 45 years old, and I'm like, I just bought an NES.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is that what's in the box is in incredible condition.
yeah.
Like the cords are the controller cords are they're not dry rotted or anything, which is it's been in storage for a long time, and for that box to be
Yeah.
in that condition and stuff like that's pretty awesome.
Before you
Incredible for the price.
before you play it, it's just a regular old screwdriver to pop the top off. It's real. I don't know if you ever tinker with anything. It's super simple. Just pop the top off, and then that connector is going to be like you're just going to have probably a blinking mess. So
Oh,
just
yeah.
you just get a toothbrush with some isopropyl alcohol, and you just literally brush its teeth and let it sit for a couple of minutes, and you'll be good to go.
Awesome. Good tip.
That's
Thank
my
you.
that's my pro tip for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So you're just saying take the top off of it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
like
a
six
regular
screws. It's
screwdriver.
like six screws underneath. Yeah. And
Yeah, I've seen some videos of some people taking the NES apart, so I
yeah,
think I
it's
could
super
probably do
simple.
that.
Yeah. And then seriously, just Q-tips with the same stuff and
So
just do
I've
your
I've added
cartridges with it.
this. I'll add this to my. I do have an original Game Boy in my office that I just have
Nice.
for display because it doesn't. The screen on it is so terrible.
Mm,
It's degraded.
mm,
But I bought it because it was on eBay in the original packaging. So it came with the
nice.
styrofoam inside, all that. The headphones are still like
Oh,
bound together,
oh,
like with a little twist tie. And I also have a Game Boy Micro that,
Micro is awesome.
and I was going to show you this. I have a friend of mine who mods Game Boy Advances, and he like takes the guts out of them. He buys them like when they're trash. He takes the guts out of them and buys custom bodies and adds light kits and things to them. And he made me this.
Ooh, a Mega Man one
Nice.
or
It's so,
Rockman.
and like on the back, it has the Mega Man logo.
Oh,
That's
cool.
awesome.
Has it got like
And
the cool bright screen and all that?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice.
I don't have a game. I don't have any games for it right now.
It's time.
But this one just uses AA batteries. So
Yeah.
he actually, my son bought one off of him that is a Legend of Zelda Minish Cap that he's
Nice.
redone. Is I'm like, I don't know if you could see, like it's transparent, translucent
Yeah.
through, and like all the buttons are Mega Man colored, and I love this. He gave it to me as a gift, and um,
Awesome.
I've got to get some Game Boy Advance games. I do have the original Turtles game for the Game Boy, the Fall of the Foot Clan,
Oh,
Nice.
and it looks incredible on there. It's
nice.
so cool.
Yeah, I regretted like very similar to you, Marty. Like it was a hey, if I wanted the Super Nintendo, right? It was selling all those things. I remember selling, I think it was my Super Nintendo collection and my Game Boy collection, all to get money for a Nintendo 64.
Wow.
Right. And like looking back, I'm like, I'm an idiot. I wish I
It's
had
like, yeah,
never
we'll give
done
you
that.
$2 for this.
Yep.
Yeah. And
And
like
you did it.
now I'm desperately like, man, I would love to have an original Game Boy. Right. Like I kind of keep
Yeah.
looking for one that I sort of want to find one that's very similar to your situation, like still pretty close to inbox, needs some love and some care, but like can take it apart, can clean it up effectively. No, Jesse, I want the old gray.
Yeah.
Like I remember saving up my money and going with my mom to
Yeah, I had
Costco
one
where I
at the
purchased
time.
it.
I don't have one of them anymore, but I have a Game Boy Color. I think this
Yeah.
is screen modded with a better screen. I don't
Yeah.
remember when I bought this.
The
Yeah.
fact that Lego's coming out with a Game Boy edition
Yeah.
later this year, I'm like, I'm in. I don't care. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm getting it. I'm done. That's awesome. So, Marty,
Yep.
thanks for sharing that.
Well,
I'd be very interested in like taking those games that you got in that deal and running over to something like seeing what the market value is on some of those games in relation to like you're
Like
not going to flip them obviously.
pricecharting.com or something like that.
Price charting and seeing like what are they actually coming in at for it. I always find that like the economy of video game sales and the market around it, I find it very fascinating. Yeah, if I had more money and more time, I think that'd be something I'd be interested in trying and flipping.
Bomberman might be the most valuable one in there.
I wonder if you don't think the Tetris would be?
Tetris is probably
No,
about
there's a ton of them out there.
Tetris is probably like 15 loose.
it's not like Tetris DS.
Maybe
Tetris
maybe
DS is
pinball.
hard to find.
Pinball might be. Let me see. Sorry, now I'm like
No, now we're all
now-
interested, right?
now
Like,
I'm going on price chart. Yeah, Tetris isn't too bad because I bought that actually complete in box like 2 years ago for
Yeah.
like $25.
Loose price of Tetris is $9.50.
Yeah, that sounds right. Let me see pinball.
and what
Pinball's
did you do?
maybe
What did you
20
do them all
bucks.
for, Marty? Like, was that included in your all? Of
Pinball's in there.
No, sorry. Like what you paid for was the console plus those games, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bomberman loose price is $25.97.
Yeah, I think that's
Oh.
going to be your most valuable one.
Pinball's 8.5.
Yeah, a little cheaper than I thought. What I mean, I think you got a great haul though,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm super excited.
and you got a couple of manuals, so that's nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
Very
now I want to
cool.
go back. I want to see this poster that was in here with pinball
And here
because
comes my
it's got.
nerdiness. It looked like a Super Nintendo poster to me, but let's see if I
So
seriously saw
I've
like two
got the
dots.
pinball manual,
Yeah.
but it's probably close to the end of it because, well, I don't know where this could have come from. Here is
What?
Oh, cool.
the
Oh, so it's
player's
one.
choice.
Yeah.
But check out this cool. This is going to hang up in my office.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was what I said. The
Game
what
Boy,
to?
Nintendo,
That's
and
cool.
Super Nintendo. And then there you've got a little advertisement here for some Mario 2, Final Fantasy, Star Tropics,
Star
uh,
Tropics. What a throwback.
Football, Superstar, V-Ball, and World Cup, and Dr. Mario, Yoshi, and
Yeah,
Tetris at the
that
bottom.
already tells you the era that was manufactured in. Because I had an action set as well, not the one with Rob, but like the same kit that what Marty got, but it had the gray zapper.
So this
Yeah.
was not the poster that came in the game box or the system box I was referring to. There's another one
Okay,
in there that goes up through Super Mario 2 as far as games that it
okay,
showcases.
yeah. So I'm price charting. I look to see what that action set is with the orange zapper, and a completed box is marked at 235. So you
Wow.
got a
There you
great deal.
go. Yeah.
Awesome. That makes me
There you
feel
go.
happy.
Yeah. You don't get many deals anymore with
No, when
old
I saw
games.
it, I
You
was
don't
like,
really.
I will admit that there was a part of me at one time that was like, like I'm literally in this area on a Nintendo podcast. I deserve to win this.
Yeah, you did deserve
That's
to win
so
it.
that's such a butthole thing to say, but I was like,
Do
I
you know
want
who I am?
yes, exactly. Like I wanted, I don't know, whatever. Uh,
91.
it's cool. I'm looking forward to digging into it this weekend.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Love it.
that's great.
All right. Thanks, Marty. Jesse or Phil, anything you want to share for weird? It's hard to beat that. I'm going to be honest with you right now. Anyone else got anything they want to share?
I don't have anything this week.
Okay.
All right, here's my I guess I have a weird one from a
Yeah, yeah.
week ago. I'm kind of getting into VHS again a little bit for some reason. I have, these CRTs behind me, and then the one day I was just like, I would love to own some classic movies I loved, like I don't know, Jurassic Park, Roger Rabbit, stuff like that. Ninja Turtles. So, I was talking to my dad one time about it. I was like, I'm thinking about getting a VCR. He's like, I got a VCR upstairs. This is like a year ago. So I got a VCR, immediately bought Ninja Turtles and stuff. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm buying these VHS. Like, this is so why am I buying VHS? This is so dumb. But then I've only picked up a few here and there. I had actually some of the I have some of the old Nintendo ones they sent out, like Banjo Kazooie and Diddy Kong.
Nice.
I have a Final Fantasy VII one. So I've had a few here and there that I picked up, but I still keep an eye like on Facebook Marketplaces. Here's my Facebook story. So Marketplace, the one day, it was $10 for just a box of VHS from some dude that was like 5 minutes from my house. Sent him a message. I was like, "Do you still have it?" He said, "Yep." So it was this massive box. I think there was like 30. No, there was like 40 tapes in there. I only kept 20 of them. I had a couple of ones I really wanted. I had Jurassic Park, Goonies, Roger Rabbit was in there. What else? I have them right over here. A couple of Christmas ones like Frosty the Snowman. So I was like, this is awesome. So that was that's my VHS story. So now I have a bunch of tapes, and now that's it. I can't. This is so stupid. It's so dumb to have VHS, but there's just something about like it's the whole experience of
Yep.
putting it in there, rewinding the tape, the commercials, like the bumpers beforehand. Sometimes you'll get a couple of trailers, and it just puts you in that place. Um, so yeah, that's part of the draw is just that little, it's that little time capsule. They look terrible. Like I bought Halloween for Halloween. Um, and horror is actually really great on VHS because it just adds a little bit of that, dirtiness to the film. So like, when I was watching Halloween, I was like, I could be watching a much nicer version upstairs on, my massive TV, but I'm just enjoying. Oh, and the other thing is too, I have like splitters for the VCR, so I turn on all three of my CRTs at the same time, and I'm just watching the movie on three screens
Yes.
like some dork. But
No, I'm all
so.
about that. No. And look, you didn't have I was sitting here going, okay, like I totally get why you do that, but I'm out on the VCR thing
Yeah,
until you said Frosty the Snowman. And I'm like
the
the
guy with
classic
Frosty.
1960s, 70s Christmas specials on
Hmm.
VHS. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
Rudolph's over there too. So I got that. What else? I feel like there was another good one. I'm like squinting. The ones I really wanted were the ones I mentioned, and that to me was worth the $10. So there's a few more that I would still like to get. I'd like to get Batman, like the '89 Burton one. And there's a couple of anime I would like to get that I had like as a kid. Like I would love to get Akira. Um, yeah. So there you go.
That's
My
awesome.
That's my weird story.
Yeah. So I thought of something I can mention real quick. I was going to talk about this back in January, but then we had multiple weeks off and weird things going on, so I forgot about it. But when I was on my cruise in December, one thing I wanted to do was play poker in their casino because that's something, I like to play poker. I don't like cash games as much. I like the tournaments, but I was going to play what they had. They had a single poker table that was a digital table. No physical dealer, no physical cards, no physical chips. The table sat 10 and it played on a touchscreen.
Wow.
It still took real money. So we put, every night, a bunch of us would play $1, $2 Texas Hold'em. There was the 2 days where there was not an excursion. They had tournaments in the morning, so I participated in those and didn't do very well, either time. But that was the there was one hand that I got kind of excited over. Like I started off with $200, I was up to 300, down to 100, kind of up and down. At one point, I was sitting at 160. Person at the other end of the table was also just going crazy. Uh, and then this younger kid was doing pretty well. So like the crazy guy had about 200, and then the kid was up to 300. The kid, I forget all of their names because this was a month and a half ago. He says, "This is my last hand. I'm going all in." So I'm looking at ace six suited with $160, and I'm having fun. I'm enjoying the conversation. And I was in a good mood, so I said, "Yeah, I'll call you." And then the crazy guy who had about 200 also called. He also had an ace six suited. So if we win, we chop the pot, which is fine. I'll take half of his 300 and keep the rest. Uh, the guy who went all in initially had like, it was like pocket tens or something. He had a pocket pair. His pocket pair held, so he took all of our money. So he ended up leaving the table with over $600 or $700. But
Wow.
I think that was the most fun I've ever had, losing $160 in a single hand.
That's awesome.
I completely enjoyed myself with that.
Nice. Awesome. Cool.
But
All
playing on
right.
that table was awful. But
Nice.
since we had no other option, we did it.
Okay. All right, folks, let's head on to our what we've been playing. Phil, you're a guest, so I'd love to ask you, what have you been playing?
Not much, unfortunately. But I have been playing Astro Bot on the PS5, which is pretty good. I have been enjoying it. I wasn't feeling it at first. I felt like it was like he was trying really hard to be like, look how great we are. Like, oh, look how much fun we're having. Like it felt very like forced. It felt forced. Um, and I wasn't really feeling it. And I still don't actually love like the main character. Like he's cute, but like I don't. As soon as I got like the Ape Escape costume, I dressed up as the ape. Um, and that's who I've been the whole time. But um, but no, it's a cool game. It's basically like a Mario Galaxy. It's like Mario Galaxy 3. I'm Marty. I guess you played it. You looked happy when I brought it up.
Yes, yeah, it was my game of the year
Oh wow.
for last year. I like just had a smile on my face the entire
Yeah, it's
time.
good.
The little details are what
Hmm.
sell it.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he's running across metal and the tippy
Hmm.
tappy sound coming
All the
from my
controller
controller.
stuff's awesome. And all the
Yes.
controller it's to me it almost feels like throwback to like a 2007 Nintendo. It's like
Yep.
the sound coming out of the Wiimote. I'm blowing on the DS to, blowing on the controller to make the
Hmm.
fans blow or whatever. There's a lot of that stuff reminds me of like that era Nintendo, which is
Yeah.
weird to think that that's like a throwback now. But yeah, but that PS5 controller is awesome. The rumble on it's incredible. The sound sounds so good coming out of it, way better than the old Wii speaker. Um, Having that girl from Travis Touchdown game call you up and you're holding like sounded it was fun, but it was like, but yeah, on the PS5 it's awesome. It's a cool game. Every stage has like a cool gimmick. Marty, I'm sure you probably talked about this game a million times on this show at this point if it was your game of the year, so
Mm.
I don't want to kill everybody on here with it. But
No, no, you're good.
but no, it's cool. I'm enjoying it. So well, the game says there's 300 bots you have to rescue. They're basically like stars or puzzle pieces from Banjo-Kazooie. Um, it says there's 300, there's probably more, but I have about, I don't know, like 210.
So
So,
300 will get you access to like the final stage. It's kind of like the dark side of the moon in Mario Odyssey. It's
okay,
like a very challenging, like they throw everything all together.
okay,
Um,
okay.
but that get the 300 gets you the ability to get there. You could beat the game, quote unquote, without doing that.
Yeah, I know. I think I unlocked the final world tonight. What's the boss? Well, what does it look like the boss is going to be? I forget because of the like the constellations like show you like basically
Sure.
what that. I already forget what it was, but I think it's the last one. Um, because it's the
Yeah.
last one on the circle. But no, it's cool.
There's going to be one in the middle.
Of course, yeah. Well, I figured the final boss is going to be there, but I wasn't expecting like a whole world there. Maybe there is,
Yeah.
but no, it's cool. It's a fun game. I liked the like the PS5 came with the Astro Bot like demo, whatever that was. It wasn't a
Yeah.
demo. It was just like a small
Playroom.
game. Yeah, like I thought that was fun, but I didn't. I know it was short, but I didn't even do like everything you could do in it. Like I played it for a little bit and I was like, this is cool, but whatever. But no, this is a cool game. I like it. I like it a lot. And then for my oddball game, I have an analog pocket and I brought that to I had to go to a doctor appointment with my daughter and I have a random all right, well, here's a side story. A couple years ago, I bought a Game Boy SP back to Facebook Marketplace. Here was my steal, Marty. Years ago,
Okay.
I this, this woman listed a Game Boy SP for $40 on Facebook. She wrote, ask about extra games if you want them. I didn't want to get extra games. I just wanted the SP because at that point I actually wanted to do I was trying to get another Game Boy. It never ended up happening. I wanted to play Pac-Man and Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles on the GameCube. I had enough Game Boys to where we could have done this. But anyway, so I bought the Game Boy. I never inquired about the games, but when I went to go pick it up, she was like, "Here's just a sack of games." I was like, "Oh, cool. All right." So there was like more than 10 games in there. But they were like I realized as I'm going through, I'm like, I just bought this woman's like childhood Game Boy. Like because it was like all the games in there was like Finding Nemo, SpongeBob. There was like I think some Disney Princess one. It was all but there was a couple good ones. There was like Donkey Kong Country 2 was in there. Harvest Moon was in there.
Ooh.
And then um Tony Hawk was in there. There's some cool stuff in there. So it was a steal for $40 to get all that stuff. But anyway, inside that was Nightmare Before Christmas. So I didn't even bother. I didn't even play half of these games because I'm not interested in them. But anyway, the other night when I took the analog with me, I was like, I'm just gonna play some random game for a little bit that I've never tried before. Don't know anything about it. So I picked Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's not great, but I was surprised to see that it's like a Metroid style game.
Okay.
Um, and that was like I was like, oh, I just expected it to be a platformer. I figured I'd play like two or three stages of it and never play it again. But instead, I was exploring a whole maze, and now I'll probably also never play it again. But at least in the moment, I was just like, oh, this is neat. Like, didn't expect to have a Metroid game here. So that was the last thing I played other than Astro Bot.
Didn't
Cool.
even know there was a game for Nightmare Before
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Awesome. Marty, what have you been playing, sir?
So I decided to try out Ridge Racer 64. I've never played a Ridge Racer game.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. I maybe I don't know. I don't get it. It didn't blow me away. I was like, I don't get to choose my track. I don't get to choose
No.
my car.
No, you gotta earn
Uh,
it.
I could choose my music. That's about it. And it just, I don't know. I'll dip back into it. Um, that was just, I did do just quick race. So, like I said, I haven't felt a whole lot like playing games, but a game I have been playing that has helped with getting through all this sickness is Pixel Lines 2, which is on the Switch. And again, it's a game I've talked about over the last couple weeks. There's different colored orbs on a grid with numbers in them, and you have to draw lines to connect them, and that eventually makes a picture. And so
And the
there's a
number
hundred.
represents how many squares you have to connect the dots
Yes,
with.
yes. So there's 150 initial puzzles
Is it
in
into
the.
the Puzzleverse? I just want to make sure I'm looking at
Yes,
the right
yes, it
thing.
is.
Okay.
Um, so there's actually three of these games on Switch. The first one's just Pixel Lines DX, I think, and then there's Pixel Lines 500 more puzzles, and then there's Pixel Lines 2. Um, there's a story, but it's not great. I mean, it's
The story
like
actually crosses multiple games in their series,
yes,
so
yeah,
so
basically,
it's not really worth
It's the
following.
Puzzleverse.
yeah, basically the cat gets hit with some kind of new invention that the grandpa's working on, and he runs into books, and you have to go in the books to try to find him. And so all the puzzles are themed certain things. So there's been like a space theme puzzles, and now I'm working
It's
on like
like it's like a
Dungeons and
pirate
Dragons
one.
themed. Yeah, the pirate one was first, then space, and then now it's like a medieval Dungeons and Dragons ish thing. Um, it's just relaxing. And it's a good change of pace from like platformers or I also did um
Do you play touchscreen?
no, I like to play it with a controller. I like to torture myself. Um
Yeah, when I play
the
that,
controls aren't
norm
great with the controller.
yeah, I norm when I play this, I use touchscreen. One of the few times I
Yeah.
do.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to I played Mega Man X5 uh over the weekend while I was recovering. Realized that I've never, even though I own the legacy collections, that X5 was the last one I played on, I guess it was PlayStation or PlayStation 2 when
PlayStation
it came
1.
out.
Yeah.
But I've never played 6, 7, and 8, so I'm working my way through those right now. Um, it was okay. Five
Yeah.
is a low point for the series,
Yeah.
from what I hear, and it doesn't get much better from there. So it's just interesting. Like you mentioned Mega Man 8 earlier, Philip, and I think yes, X4
Hmm.
and beyond. Like Capcom really went all in on like having these like 3D sprites and 3D backgrounds and
Yeah.
stuff. And I think that like they went all in on that, and the quality of the game suffered because there was like they were chasing cutscenes of voiceovers and
Hmm.
whatever instead of just like making a really good Mega Man X game.
Yeah, I thought 4 was awesome. I love X4.
4 is good.
But
4's
yeah, 5
4's
and
pretty
then
good, but then like 5, the Alia, which is like this kind of like role figure,
Mhm.
she just talks constantly.
Yes.
It's
Yeah, it's
all
annoying.
the
It's
time,
annoying.
and like they went from like it was like Mega Man Zero and Sigma, like and Sigma's the bad guy, and then they go try to
Mhm.
have like this big like space opera lore thing with Mega Man X, and there's a lot of gaps and it doesn't work. But games are still fun, so I'm just working through those, and we'll see what happens.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Thanks, Marty. Jesse?
Right. So I think it's been over a month since I talked about games. So I still have Xenoblade Chronicles 3 listed, even though I haven't played that in a while, but I did finish it. I think I
How many
had,
hours did it take you, Jesse?
I'm trying to remember, think it was in the 80 to 100 range,
Okay.
Wow.
maybe. Yeah, it was up there.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't do all of the side quests. I know, because like I think every class you can do, you can unlock like a side quest, a hero side quest for it to make it to allow you to go to rank 20. I think I might have done that 3 or 4 times, not many times. Uh,
Yep.
I didn't even unlock all the classes. Like I got the hero, but never had it equipped long enough to unlock it. I didn't fully understand that concept until really late in the game. But yeah, there's a lot of things I didn't do. Like I didn't really do much with the gems. I didn't really. I never bought a single piece of gear, so I don't even know what those Nopon are selling. So, but yeah, I did like the story and like the characters, and I hope I can remember when we talk to everything when we finally get around to talking about it. No spoiler, if we ever do that.
We will.
Yeah. And so after that, I got back into Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. I got to Baramos, lost, and then put that on hold to play Xenoblade back in December and January. So I picked up from where I left off. I ended up having to go down into the easy mode to beat Baramos, and then I just realized I intended on going back into normal mode, but I just forgot to and kept it on easy, and like that's fine. Really, the big difference is you don't die. Instead of going down to 0 hit points and to a death, you go down to 1 hit point, and you can still take your turns.
Hmm.
Which, uh, so I
So what's the
beat.
punishment though? You're just invincible?
Yeah,
Like what
there is no
happens when you
punishment.
so you just keep going?
Yeah,
So easy mode is they just
you'll never die.
okay. So you literally you can just force your way right through it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and in fact, I came near the end in the end game. I came across 3 King Hydras where I can take down one,
Mm-hmm.
but with them putting me to sleep and paralyzing me, what put fighting 3, I literally could never make a move.
Mm.
So I eventually had to flee from that fight. But I rolled credits, saw their little new ending that links it with Dragon Quest 1 and 2, and then I started playing the post game. Went through that dungeon, which is taking dungeon rooms from previous areas in the game and kind of stitches them together. So you'd go from one room to another from a completely different dungeon, and then the next floor is a room from a completely different dungeon. Uh, got to its boss, and he wants you to beat him as fast as you can. And again, because of status effects and not dying because I'm on easy mode, I eventually beat him, but it takes me 73 rounds. And he goes, 73 rounds is not a true victory. Come back when you're stronger and try again. And apparently, I don't know what the threshold is, but that unlocks the next set of dungeons in the post game, and I'm like,
Oh my
I'm done here.
gosh.
I'm done here. I'm not going to do this. So, I'm ready for when Dragon Quest 1 and 2 come out sometime this year. Hopefully, we'll find out soon. Dragon Quest Day announcements are normally done in May, so maybe we'll find out then. Yeah, but I did enjoy that again. That was my number 2 game last year. And then finally, the game I want to talk about is a game I picked up on Steam called Joy of Programming. There was little joy to be had. You pretty much use Python to turn on pieces of conveyor equipment to sort boxes into bins, and so you have to each component, as you'd expect, is set up as a programming object that then has variables that you can set, and you can get you can get the current value of the variables by calling a function, or you can set a value into the variable with a different function. And they've got an IDE that tries to help you. So like if you type conveyor 1 dot, then it's supposed to pop over a list of options of what the variables are, what the function or what the methods are, but it isn't always a complete set. There was one case I knew what I wanted to type, but the IDE wouldn't let me do it with its fast typing, so I literally had to guess, because capitalization matters in these things. And finally did get it to work. I got through the first set of challenges, and then I got to the first challenge of the second set, and I wanted to duplicate something I did in the previous round, but I had no access to the old source code. So I couldn't copy and paste, and the IDE wasn't helping. At that point, I just said, I'm done. In fact, I played it so little, I was able to get a refund on Steam and have it removed from my library. So I think it was... Victoris says that's the game I told you to get. He told me to get good. I don't know what... I think he's talking about Dragon Quest. Yeah, so I returned to that game and didn't want to touch that again. That wasn't, again, no joy in that programming.
A ringing endorsement for that one.
Right.
Yeah, no kidding.
So,
Yeah.
I did tell Blanco about it, because he also is a programmer, and when I told him that I returned it and kind of explained the reasons why, and he goes, yeah, sounds like a mess.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Jesse. I'll run through mine super fast. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I have a problem. I have 18 hours into Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I think I might be enjoying the game.
Uh-oh.
That's about when it really started clicking with me.
Not something I was anticipating. I used to just hit the tap forward, like skip scenes for like, stop talking. And now I'm like, tell me more.
Oh.
So somewhere around the 12 to 15 hour minute or 15 hours I got vested, and now I want to see Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to the end, and I don't know if I have 80 hours in me to do this thing.
Yeah, I had a rough start too, and it was around that time when it started to click. And
Phil, have you played a Xenoblade Chronicles
I
game?
have not played any of them. No, I feel intimidated when I look at them. Which I'm sure I can do it, but...
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel intimidated, but for some odd reason, I literally bought all of them for my Switch. It was originally I bought like the number 2, and I was like, well, if I have the number 2, I should probably get the first one.
Yeah.
And then I did that, and I was like, well, if I have 1 and 2, I should definitely get the third one.
Yeah.
Right? And like, and now I'm like, well, X is coming out in March. I should definitely... there's something
Which is actually the second one.
Yeah, there's something so wrong with me. But yeah, playing that, super enjoying it. I'm excited to finally finish it eventually at some point in 2025. And I went back to Fortnite this week. And man, that's such a comfort food. I jumped in for an hour of matches and went up 22 levels.
Holy cow.
It was like I like turned around and like looked at someone and I was like, oh, XP, XP, XP. So that was a ton of fun. But yeah, those are the games I've been playing. Marty, I'm going to hand it over to you. Why don't you wrap us up? I think we're going to move questions to next week because we got a ton of questions. We've been on this for 2 hours. Let's get Phil some sleep and let's wrap this thing up. So Marty, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, and we're not like trying to downplay our questions and everything. It's just that there's so many right now from the community. It would add a ton of time to the end of the show. So next week we're going to carve out a big block of time for you and your questions. So feel free to send in some new ones as well. But we want to remind you that you can head over to nintendodads.org and check out all kinds of different stuff over there. And we'll mention that here again in just a minute. But lots of stuff coming up. Like Justin mentioned, we'll be going, some of us will be at PAX East later on this year in May. We'll get some more details about that coming out soon, because we do want to hang out with people from our community while we're there. And just get to know people and get to hang. A few years ago when we went to New York was one of the coolest things that I've ever gotten to be a part of, meeting people that listen to the show and just enjoy the content we produce. And so we will definitely do that again when we are at PAX East. And so let's close out the show this way. We want to say a huge thanks, first and foremost, to Phillip Summers for coming on, being on the show, talking all about your brand new Kickstarter project for the Mega Man hand-drawn guide. 6 days left. Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on X Blue Sky. X Blue. It's not even Twitter anymore, right? So, Blue Sky and Instagram as @HeyPhilSummers on all three of those. And if you just want to check out the Kickstarter, just go to Kickstarter, type in hand-drawn game guides Mega Man, you'll find it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if you haven't backed that yet, go do that. And Phillip, best of luck to you as you finish out this campaign. I'm excited to see how it finishes up and what you've got planned for the future. And thank you for being on the show this week and hanging out with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
As we close out the show, we want to say a huge thanks to our Patreon producers, Dave Ernsberger and Jacqueline Amira, as well as 100+ other patrons to keep the lights on over here at Nintendo Dads HQ. Special thanks to over 21 Twitch Prime subscribers, 1,400+ Twitch followers, and almost inching up there to almost close to 8,000 YouTube subscribers. Again, what we're saying is if you interact with our content, whether you listen to the audio version of the podcast, watch the videos, support us on Patreon, whatever it is, thank you. We would not be here if it weren't for you. Again, you can head over to nintendodads.org and check out all of our family of podcasts like Retro Logic, Star Wars Dads, and others over there, as well as our latest YouTube videos and tweets, links to all of our social media, Patreon, and Extra Life pages, and Nintendo Dads merch. And as Justin mentioned earlier in the show, don't forget to go over to manscaped.com and get 20% off your order and free shipping by using the code NINDADS. That's NINDADS. Go treat yourself to something nice over there at manscaped.com. Email us at nintendodads@gmail.com or call in and leave a voicemail at 929-25NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. Leave a voicemail, we play it on the show, we answer your question. That's how it works. Big thanks to OC Remix for the music we use throughout the show. And reminder, wherever you download us in your favorite podcatcher of choice, please, if they have the ability to do it, leave us a 5-star review, leave some comments. It helps push us up the charts, helps people find the dads, and you make the world a better place. This has been episode 514. For me, for Phillip, for Jesse, for Justin. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.